Hey everybody, my name is Bruce, and I'm in the Bob Ross wig tonight. My friend Janet from another planet is over to my right. Hey Janet, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Excellent. Well, we are discussing a movie from way back, and we actually have a small crew of people here tonight. That's our great usuals are here. We got Janet kicking in the door. Look at that! Thank you for joining us. Popcorn's ready. I'm sure Kaylee's wanting popcorn. Kaylee's that little dog that Chris brought over. Lady says, "Good evening. Soy based Jeremy's here. Yo, where's my seat? Find it. The auditorium's ours."
Take whatever seat you want. Yeah, I got a few comments on my video that I posted earlier for, yeah, my hair looks so much darker without all the bright light on me that I did with my ring light. When
Yeah, you
I'm,
look like
yep,
a serious brunette.
yeah, it's really, it's got, see if I get really close to the light so you can see the red start coming out.
Okay.
But when I get back here, it's darker, I guess, because the light, I'm farther from the light. But I had a lot of comments of people saying how much they disloved Christy McNichol, when they were young. So
I'm a large
it's
fan of
awesome.
Christy McNichol.
It's funny is I was built just like that when I was in junior high and in high school. I was this tall, skinny, and nothing. But I had a sister Sandy and a sister Kathy on each side of me, and both of them were blonde and built like a, you know, Mae West. So I didn't get many dates because
We had
everybody
five
wanted.
sisters.
They all wanted the lady with the big boobs and the, hourglass figure. Plus, I was tall. I was taller than both of them. So, hmm.
Hello, the crafting gamer.
But yeah, it was years. I don't know how long the movie had been out. I think it was in the late 80s, maybe the late 80s, when I first saw the movie on a VHS. And then years later, one of my girlfriends gave me this on my birthday. It's a DVD because she knew I loved the movie and I love indie movies. So that's how I watch it now. But I love the movie. It's a wonderful romance to me. That's what I looked at it as. So I remember bawling my eyes out at the end about how romantic that was.
It is somewhat romantic. This movie is a real cute movie about a super young girl in the deep south, and I don't mean the deep south. I mean more like what, Georgia, Kentucky.
I think it was Georgia.
Yeah, they filmed this in Kentucky and Tennessee, or no, Georgia and Kentucky, various places,
Hmm.
and then they did the. I think that bar was used for some reshoots. They used that bar with different angles to make it look like different places, and
Hmm.
it came out looking like a gem. It really did. This movie used its money wisely. It didn't have a lot of money to spread around. I'd like to say hello to my friends on Rumble tonight as well. Hey guys. Okay. Oh wait, I'm the only one in chat over on Rumble. That'll change. Okay. So we've got this really cute movie that nobody knows about. And when I say nobody knows about, and I'm going to say that because there are movies that you don't know about, but you can search them through IMDb and find people's IMDb resumes, and then you can go out and you can look for that film, and like 90% of the time it's on a streaming service, or you can find in the Internet Archive the entire movie.
Hmm.
It's just there waiting for you to watch it. Go ahead. You've only got time to lose, and it might be something you really enjoy. But this movie, I searched high and low, and all I found was viruses and rootkits. And there was a Russian girl on my computer later, and he didn't have Max from Legion of Myth. He speaks Russian.
Hmm.
He could have translated it for me, but I'm pretty certain she wanted to have my bank account number, and I'm married, and I don't have any money in that bank account. So thank you, but
Oh,
uh,
it's terrible. But I'm glad that you got to watch it with me.
yeah, Janet and I watched it together, and thanks to her use of technology, and I really appreciate that. Which her use of technology would remind you guys of the early 2000s when somebody sneaks a camcorder into a movie theater, and that's basically what we did with their
Yeah,
phone.
I took my ring light, because I have two of them and they have a stand, and I put the phone on. It didn't turn the light on, but I put the phone sideways at my TV in the living room, and I already had the DVD and the Xbox because I was going to watch it. And then Bruce was having all the trouble trying to get the whole thing to work for him. So I just turned it on, and he got to watch it over my phone and into Discord. So it worked. So I got to watch it. I mean, it wasn't perfect or anything, but at least you got to see it. And the
Even
good
when we have a good
music. I
stream.
was really surprised how good they could sing
Yes.
and how adorable Chrissy McNichol was. I mean, I forgot how. I mean, um, she reminded me of such a young me, tomboyish. She looked very tomboyish, so I guess that comes across that way.
There's a TV show she was on back in the 70s called Family.
Hmm.
And it had a young Meredith Baxter, who later became Meredith Baxter Burney, the mom on Family Ties.
Hmm.
And this show Family was on for like 4 years. Really good show, really well credited. I watch it and I fall asleep. So that tells me there's probably a lot of character development and there's like a lot of feelings exchanged. It's a very much slice of American life. It's not really a show you watch for like this very special episode of Family. It's not like one of those shows. That shit started in what, 79 with different strokes. Tonight on Facts of Life, Mindy Cohn has to deal with an abortion. A very special episode. Tune in. You get that.
Sorry, I just turned my thing on so I can see the chat and be able to comment.
You should be able to see the chat with StreamYard, but
I
you
can see
won't.
it over here, but I can't comment on it. I can't say hi to people. So,
But it's interesting because this young girl was in the show Family, and then that kind of led to a lot of bigger things because everybody loved Buddy, her character on Family.
mhm.
And I even found an episode where she hangs out with Leif Erikson. I don't know if you guys in the chat remember Leif Erikson.
He sounds familiar, but I can't picture anyone.
We're going to time travel back to 1982. Soil Moon Fry, Punky Brewster's brother, is a lead character on a TV show called The Voyagers.
His name's Moonfry.
No, Soil Moon Fry, the kid, the young Punky Brewster girl.
Oh, is that what her real name is?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
hippie appearance.
her
Okay.
little brother, her older brother, is an actor for the while, and he stars with this real like up and coming like this guy is like the next James Bond, if only he was British. Like he is full of so much sex appeal, and he's everybody's like dream. I got to show you this guy because you might remember him once you see him.
Legion of Myth said, "Don't forget the Different Strokes episode where Arnold got his little guy touched by the pedo." I don't remember that.
Nothing's changed in America today.
But they put it on an episode and talked about it.
Oh,
They
yeah.
wouldn't do that today. They don't talk
don't do
about that stuff. They're not going to expose anyone.
God damn it. I
Now-
really fucked that up. I fucked that up. My bad. There's this old show called Voyagers, and I thought Leif Erikson was the guy that John Eric Hexum was. John Eric Hexum was starring with this young kid, brother of the girl that was on Punky Brewster, and he died on a set when pretty much a Brandon Lee situation went off. Prop gun, blank had a violent discharge. Wasn't really a blank. It was a blank, but it wasn't a blank. And prop guns are a thing. I thought that was this guy here. Bruce made a boomer moment, so forgive me. But I sent Janet a episode of Family to jog her memory. This guy
on
was
Discord?
on Discord, so she could see the show that made Christy McNichol. Leif Erikson is this guy here. I thought he was somebody else. My bad. Not this rugged Charlton Heston one generation before guy. I fucked that up. Okay.
Well, how old is she in this episode you sent me? Because she doesn't look much different than she did in the movie that we just
That
watched.
is season 2, I believe. So she's probably about 18, 19 years old.
Okay, so she was 18 or at least 18 in the movie that we watched.
Yeah.
I don't know how old she was. I couldn't find anything that tells me how old they were when they made the movie. Even Dennis Quaid, I mean, he looked like a baby face, you know? But he looked like his son that was in The Boys. I mean, it's amazing how much they look alike, how much his son looks like him. Now that
There's
I
another movie we're going to watch with Dennis Quaid later.
because I sent you a picture of Dennis Quaid today and of Chrissy. I couldn't find any of the other people today pictures of them.
No, I know what he looks like today. The guy's earned every wrinkle. I mean, he dated Meg Ryan for years.
Yeah.
I love Meg Ryan as an actress. Not a big fan of her otherwise.
But she's with John Mellencamp now, right?
I don't care. I wish I could say I gave a shit.
I haven't ever heard anything bad about her. I mean, I've never heard anybody say that she was like a what was it? What's Will Smith's wife's name?
No, we don't even mention that.
Okay, well, so she can't be that bad if she's not in that rank.
No, she's
Or
not the brazen
what's
hussy
the lady that was married to the pirate John Bush, or what's his name, Johnny Depp, his wife?
Oh, you're talking about Amber Heard?
Yeah, is she nuts like that?
I don't think she's nuts like that. I just think that she got very dumb because she couldn't get old. She had to always star as the single mourning or single in pain mother or single lady for like all of my 20s and 30s. It was a Meg Ryan
because she had a bad agent that couldn't get her, good.
He couldn't get her out of that crap.
Yeah, she
like
just
the
kept
best movie she was in is Top Gun. The best role she ever had was in Top Gun when she lost her husband Goose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she did good in that.
I wish I could say
you didn't like her in When Harry Met Sally.
That'd probably be my number 3 role for her.
At lunch, that scene, I thought that was great. She was great.
You can reenact that. We're gonna have about 100 people in here, and they're all Indian.
They can't hear me. They're not in here yet. But that was a good movie, and she did a great job in that movie.
Okay, she was born September 11th, 1962.
Mm-hmm.
So she is 60 years old now. Hard to believe, but
is she still alive?
She's still alive. She's kicking.
I haven't seen her in a long time in anything. So
I don't know if she actually does anything anymore. I mean, we'll go to her page.
I didn't really like the movie Flady. I just liked that scene that she did in that movie because I didn't really like Billy Crystal. My mom just loved him. My mom thought he was just awesome, and he was in that one movie where he was a cowboy or something. I don't know. My mom just.
I know what you're talking about with Jack Palance.
I don't know what it was, but it was horrid.
The second one was City Slickers, The Legend of Curly's Gold, and first one is City Slickers.
Yeah, City Slickers. That was it. My mom just said that was one of the funniest movies she ever saw, and I was like, oh, okay. And he was also in that other movie that I said was the worst movie ever made, that my mom thought was terrible. So it was a Rabbit Test or something like that.
Did your mother ever watch Willy's Wonderland?
No, my mom was already dead when I got to see that.
I'm going to blame the movie being made on your that's what actually that atrocity. We need to sue them.
Yeah, it was a terrible movie.
That was a terrible movie.
The worst movie I've ever seen in my life. It was worse than Rabbit Test. I mean, and I choked through that movie with my mom on VHS. It was horrible. Now I like the other one, the Three Amigos. That was a funny movie. I mean, not like City Slickers. City Slickers was just a bad movie. How did Billy Crystal make any money? I just thought he was a terrible actor. I didn't think he was funny. I didn't like anything about him, basically.
Well, okay. First off, he was getting federally funded. He was doing all the comedy aid. Let's throw money at Africa crap. And I'm not trying to say anything whatsoever if you guys get offended. But back in the 80s, we would throw money at Ethiopia because they'd be showing starving people on National Geographic. And that's the entire shit that started Mogadishu.
Yeah, and all those, I remember all my guy friends saying they love those nature shows because they could see all the topless ladies. So
I like
that's
the
how a
nature
lot of my
shows.
friends saw their first boobs was on those nature shows. Wild
I like the
Kingdom
nature
or
shows because
something, whatever they were called.
you get
I
to watch
remember that.
all the gazelle and elk get ripped open by Big Kitty. That's
Well, I
awesome.
love nature shows. I was really into all those.
So to answer your question, in June 2001, Christy McNichol announces that she had retired from acting. Her publicist released a statement. A lot of people wondered what I've been up to. I retired from my career after 24 years. It's the time to play the biggest part myself. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. A lot of people are disappointed. I'm not currently acting. Somebody don't understand the process I'm in is necessary and vital for personal happiness and well-being.
Well, it's
And
good for
there's a
her.
part there's a part where she's in a movie in 1982. She was doing something in France and she couldn't sleep the whole time, cried the entire time she's in France, has nightmares, did not sleep, and cried on set. She didn't return to production after Christmas to finish the film, and filming had to be interrupted for a year while she recovered.
It's
So,
awful. What movie was it?
that's she's gone through, I guess a lot of stress, maybe PTSD, maybe there was a Weinstein in her trailer. I don't know.
Well, maybe she got, attacked or something by one of those sick people on set or something. And she hasn't talked about it, but that might be one of the reasons why she decided to get out. She couldn't deal with it anymore.
I think that's probably the case. I
And
mean,
it,
she was a real pretty thing back in the 70s, and there was a lot of
she
stuff that
seemed
people
very,
didn't talk about.
very down to earth. I mean, I didn't get to see anything backstage or anything like that or any interviews with her, but on camera, she just seems very shy,
Down to
quiet, very, very down to earth, very earthy, type of thing. Uh, and she just seemed like, you know, like a normal person. And I'm happy that she's happy now in her life and living her own life. But she
I
was adorable in this movie. She had me wrapped around her finger. The part where she's driving down the truck and she's holding that bottle of Jack Daniels and she's drunk. She's supposed to be what, 16
Yeah, she's
in the movie?
16 in this movie, and during the filming of this, she's born 62. This is made in or released in 81, so she's 18 to 19 in this film.
Yeah.
Right about the right age for Mark Hamill, who isn't much older to be hitting on her.
Hmm. I thought he made an adorable little couple in that movie. I was just surprised because when I remember getting to watch it, and my mom said this is just movie that she rented for us to watch, and I got to watch it with her, and I was like, I can't believe that these three stars are in this movie because it was years later, and that they were in such a simple country movie. You know what I mean? I was just surprised, especially with Mark Hamill being in it. I wanted to watch it more than anything because
Well, Mark Hamill had just wrapped up filming on Empire Strikes Back,
that's what I
and
was surprised.
his
And,
star
and
was
him
just
playing something so opposite of what I saw him, on camera with, and him having an accent and everything. And I thought he was adorable. I mean, to see him in a regular, uniform for a police officer or deputy or whatever, and getting to see him like that, it was nice. I enjoyed it. I got to see him as an actor then because he wasn't in Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He was
He's not a
separate.
really good Luke Skywalker. I'm sorry, kids, but he's not really a good actor in Star Wars. I hate to say that. I love
He
Star
didn't
Wars.
really have to act that much in you know what I mean?
No,
It's
but in
mostly
this
fighting
movie, he
and all
gets
that.
stabbed.
Well, it's the fact that he was cute, I think, is why he was able to probably get away with a lot of stuff, and he looked a certain way, and that's what the director wanted. Because that happens a lot.
And Christy McNichol and her singing aside, and her singing in this movie is not the greatest.
No,
She's putting an effort out there. There's a difference between and what was the lady's name that was singing for us in The Fifth Element? There's a difference between that
oh
and
yeah,
this little
she was like
scrappy.
an opera singer, though.
Yeah, There's a
It's
huge
the
difference
part
between the
that
two.
she sang in this movie when they did get her to finally sing to try to get her brother to realize what he was going to miss out on. It fit because she seemed like she did have some talent like her brother, that if she worked on it, she could get really good at it. You know what I mean? And that came across as realistic to me. So when she got up there and she sang that second song, it almost brought tears to my eyes because it was like she just really wanted her brother to understand that, you know, this is what she thought their life was supposed to be. And that she came to the realization that she had to grow up and go on without him, without her brother, because he wasn't wanting the same thing as she thought he wanted. So she grew up a lot. She had a huge character arc in this movie.
She did.
And I thought she did an excellent job at it. I mean, she was just so talented at making me want to root for her. And then when her brother ends up dying at the end, she
Spoilers.
well, it's an old movie.
I
But the
know,
thing is,
right?
when he
Well,
dies in the end, and the way she reacts to it, she grew up enough to where she didn't hate the girl that loved him. You know what I mean? He was able to hug her, you know, at the service and walk off knowing that I'm going to get emotional thinking about it. The part where she gets in the pickup truck and she's got her dog and he stinks to high heaven and she doesn't bathe him because they're on the road all the time, right? So she just puts a bunch of perfume on. So he really stinks to high heaven. And the brother's talking about it and stuff when she goes to pick him up from about to get the crap beat out of him at the very beginning, you know, because he's sneaking out of the hotel because he's been sleeping with someone else's wife. And so basically in this relationship, she's the adult and her brother's the kid, basically.
yeah,
So
and that's
she did a
the
great
great
job
dynamic
portraying
about
that.
it.
Do what?
That's the great part about this movie is that you get to see Dennis Quaid act like what I always pictured Dennis Quaid to act like. My first exposure to Dennis Quaid was, let's see, Enemy Mine and Inner Space. I didn't see Tombstone yet.
Yeah.
I didn't see the Dennis Quaid Tombstone.
I'm
So
glad I
he's
saw the Dennis Quaid Tombstone after I saw the other Tombstone.
Yeah.
Because the other Tombstone was hands down 10 times better than the other one. I just
They had a
thought
better script. They had a better director. They had a
they
better
had
cast.
everything better. I mean, the acting, everything I thought was just phenomenal. And I loved every character they had. So it was really hard for me to enjoy the other ones that came out after.
And I think there was a Tombstone movie that came out the same year as the Tombstone movie that you love so much.
I love that movie. I still love it. It's one of my very favorite Westerns. Now, one of my other favorite Westerns that I absolutely loved because my mom loved it and she watched it at least 6 times a year. So I got to watch it with my mom on VHS and it was called Paint My Wagon or Paint Your Wagon.
John Wayne?
Yeah, it didn't have John Wayne. It was Clint Eastwood and I can't remember the old guy that was in it. And it's about the two guys that become partners at digging a gold mine and they buy a wife from a Mormon because she had lost her baby and he didn't want her anymore. And he wanted to keep his other wife that had the baby that lived. So they sold her to him as she belongs to both of them, like part of their mine. The adorable movie. It's a musical and they sing. Something Marvin is his name, the actor in it. My mom loved him.
I know who you're talking about. His name's
Lee Marvin. And Clint Eastwood movie, and it's called Paint Your Wagon. And it's a musical. My mom just loved Clint Eastwood movies. She just loved him. My mom loved movies. She loved lots of movies and comedies. She didn't really like horror that much. She watched a few because I loved vampires and I love monsters and, alien creatures and stuff like that. Totally not what my mother was into.
31 King said, I did say Tombstone. I meant Wyatt, or that's the movie I was referring to.
Well, I knew what you were talking about, but it's still it's the other one. The other Tombstone was terrible too. The one with
there is
Kevin Costner movie. It was not. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't as good as the Tombstone that we reviewed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It has Kurt Russell in it.
Well, it's not just that. Overall, the movie was just better. It was a better made movie for the story. I think telling that
Okay.
story.
I'm really a funny musical, not as cool as Jesus Christ Superstar.
Or Tommy, that movie Tommy with the
Yes, about the
Who.
pinball player.
Yeah, my oldest sister, she just loved that movie, so that's why I got to see it over and over again.
My favorite musical is still South Park, Bigger and Longer and Uncut.
And that was pretty good too. I don't know. I think I'd have to say Victor Victoria is still my favorite. I get to watch it. My mom got to watch with me because I just love that movie. I've seen it well, golly. I also liked Rocky Horror Picture Show, and it was a musical. I mean, there's a lot of them, but my very favorite, if I only had to pick one, it would have to be Victor Victoria, I think, because my mom got me hooked on that. It's a great movie, though. Good stars and stuff in it.
I really like those films. Victor Victoria really impressed me. But anytime you get the Preston, I forget what his name is, the guy that played the Music Man.
Yeah.
He also was Centauri in Last
Mm-hmm.
Starfighter.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you get him in a movie, I'm going to
Preston.
be there to watch it because I didn't realize until Victor Victoria had just how much of a great actor he really is.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. I mean, he without his character in that movie, I don't think it would have been half as good. Even though James Garner was great, I just think that his character, the flamboyant, gay guy in it, I thought he was great. I mean,
Yep.
and his character at getting her to pretend like she was a count. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But the whole thing in the movie that we watched, all the characters connected so well in such a believable way to me, because off and on after my mother and dad got out of the military, we moved to a teeny tiny rat hole in Arkansas to be next to my mom's parents because my grandmother was not well. And my mom wanted to live in it. So they retired and bought a house. It's like I said, a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house with 5 daughters. So it was pretty, stressful, but whatever. But when we had to sneak out, like I wanted to go with some of my friends and they wanted to go to Oklahoma, which was right over the, border within an hour drive, to go to a bar. Right. And they were all like that, all little redneck hole in the walls where everybody's fighting. People were pulling guns and knives on each other. It was really, really dangerous. So that's why every single time you see these people getting in these fights, and it was like, yeah, that to me was realistic. So when I got to watch it, it made me think about that kind of stuff, about how dumb people get when they put too much alcohol in them. So, I thought that was really good. And the fact that her brother took her under his wing when their dad killed himself, because you get that from when they're talking about the gun. And that's what he did with her. He just traveled on the road. So she didn't get to finish school or anything. She didn't have a driver's license. And the only thing she knew was hanging with her brother and trying to be his manager, trying to think of the next gig where they would go and helping him write songs to sing. And that was her childhood, basically. So I thought that was very cute. And you can tell, and when they reacted with each other, I never felt it was nasty or dirty, like when he kissed her on the forehead and he hugged her and he laid his head on her knee and things like that. It never seemed dirty, like what you think
This
today.
movie is about as wholesome as it gets.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good about portraying brother and sister. I really wish I had a brother once. I would love to have had a brother to see what that was like. But I thought they did an excellent job at portraying brother and sister on camera, basically. The scene where they're in the little cafe And he sits down and she's waiting for his sister. I guess she was with the dog or whatever, and outside she hadn't come in yet, or she was in the bathroom, I think. And yeah, she went to the bathroom because she was drunk. Remember, she was gonna go throw up. And he sits down, he's getting a cup of coffee, and there's two girls. They're all cutesy. Walk over and they're like, "You're Travis' child," because she didn't believe it or whatever. So they're sitting down. He's like all flirting with them and inviting them to the hotel. So after the show, he could have a twosome, I guess, a threesome. And that's when the sister comes out, and she's like, God, again, she's pissed off. So she says, well, can you guys help us find a doctor so he can get that infection cleared up? So, it's just like something a little sister would do that's pissed off at her brother for constantly whoring around, So I just thought that all that part was
that was really smart script writing.
I thought it was really good. They did okay, now they said it was loosely based. If you read this stuff, it says loosely based on the song "The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia."
I think that's a lie. I think that's a lie.
I think they just took the premise of the brother and sister, and that's it.
That's all. That's all.
Yeah, in the South, in a Hoboken town. That was it. That was the only thing that resembled the song at all. So, and they changed the song. If you listen to the actual song that's singing, they didn't really have the same words in it. The one that Reba McEntire and was it Vicki Lawrence? Yeah, Vicki Lawrence sang that, and both of them made it into a hit song. And but it just says on there, it does say loosely based. The screenplay is loosely based on it. So, but you never know. It might have had been different, and through the filming, it slowly got changed around, because I've seen many, many, many scripts, turn into almost a totally different movie as it progressed, because things didn't fit or people didn't think it matched or whatever it was. But yeah, that was funny. That whole thing was a funny scene. But I love that pickup truck. Oh, what would you do to get to have that truck that they were driving?
That was a sexy truck. I'm sorry.
Oh, the color of it, the style. I don't even know. Was it a Chevy or a Ford? I mean, I don't even remember. I just loved it.
I think it was a Chevy.
I love that truck. It probably cost too much money. I probably couldn't afford it, but boy, I liked it. I'd drive it. I wouldn't be afraid. Wouldn't be ashamed to drive it at all. Even with the camper on it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Here's some photos from our buddy.
It's a dragon.
It is.
Oh, you've been working on them?
Yeah, he's working on this. This is a nice frost effect.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty. So that would be what the dragon looked like that put us in 5 feet of snow?
Yeah.
Because Kronos was asking tons of questions, and I was trying to keep up and give him answers, but he was asking so many questions I couldn't. He was like, "How come you guys can't move?" And I'm like, "It's ice and snow from the dragon." So that was pretty cool. That was a whole good fun scenario, I thought.
I'm glad you had a good time on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. It was fun.
I had a bunch of stuff going on in the background. People nailing things and screwing things into the walls, and TV getting mounted, and hold on, guys, don't say anything, because I got to wait for this HDMI cable to get connected so I can hear what you're saying.
So you got it all fixed up now, so every time you can have 3 cameras, or is that just
I've got to talk to our good buddy Jade and have him escort me on that, because I've got the setup on StreamYard to do multiple cameras, but I've got to have him help me to get the cameras inputted through one PC.
Yeah, you can that won't take long, will it?
No, about 30 minutes or less. Should be fast.
I thought it was cool to have the different angles in it. It said camera 3. Like, wow, we're all getting all fancy now. I thought that was neat. The fact that the scene as the movie progressed and they get separated, okay, because he ends up having to get on the bus to get out of there because that fight at the bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
When she had invited that movie producer guy or whatever to meet them at the bar, and then she takes and gives him all that stack of tapes and stuff, right? And they're hiding under the table, enjoying the fights, the excitement. So I thought that was a very a cute scene, the whole thing. And she's talking to him about how great her brother is and stuff. And he's like, "You're the one who's been hounding me on the phone." So he knew who she was. But she was just the cutest thing. I just can't get over how adorable she was. I never did really watch that show that you sent me the episode of with her on it.
I've only watched a few episodes myself,
I
but I
just
know
like I
she was
told you,
on
the
it.
first time I ever saw Chrissy McNichol in a movie and was Little Darlings.
Well, that was a movie that came out, I think, right before this with fan favorite Tatum O'Neal.
Yeah, Tatum
And
O'Neal was in it
Tatum,
with
Tatum
her.
O'Neal is going to be in a movie we review later in the fall,
Mhm.
right around the time where the World Series should be ending, because fuck baseball. No, I'm sorry. If you're woke,
Yeah,
fuck you.
the movie with Tatum O'Neal is that they have a bet of which one would lose their virginity at
Okay.
So that's what it was about, and I remember getting to watch that, and I liked it. That was the first time though I'd ever really paid that much attention to Chrissy McNichol. So then when it was like I think 1987 or 89 when I finally saw this movie, and I just thought it was so good. And Mom was like, "I've seen it a couple of times. It's a pretty good movie." But my mom loves country western music and everything, and she thought Dennis Quaid was adorable, very attractive or whatever.
The way you discuss your mother, I see that woman with the beehive at Al's Country Bunker. We like both type of music, country and western.
Yeah, that couple from that, it looked like the same couple from that other movie.
Yeah,
didn't it?
It did.
So I thought that was funny because was it made around the same time?
This was made in late 80, I believe, maybe spring of 81. But the Blues Brothers was made late 79, early 80, I thought.
Yeah, so it is close together. It could have been
Yeah.
the same couple. I mean, I don't know. I didn't, research it enough for that, but I should have. I guess I could get better at doing this stuff, couldn't I?
I think Gary Corbin is in this movie, and he plays one of the generals in War Games, which is an absolute banger of a movie for me.
Yeah, the guy that played the bartender, where he ends up getting the job as a bartender to get his bail money. He was in tons of movies.
Arlen.
Yeah.
Dean Arlen?
Yeah, Arlen's character. He was a badass. I loved him in this movie. I thought he was really good. He didn't back down to Seth when everybody else was afraid of that guy, because he was nuts.
Yeah.
And even Conrad, which was
Mark Hamill's sheriff character,
knew that he was nuts, but he didn't back down either, even though he was a smaller guy. He could have got, one or two punches and he'd have been out, but he didn't back down either. So I thought I liked his character in this movie. Mark Hamill's character. I thought he did a very good job. It's adorable. And the scene, it made my heart melt when she's mad at her brother and she dressed up in that cutesy outfit to try to act like a woman, and she's, just turned 17 on the road, with her brother she said, "I'm 17, about to go up 47 or whatever." And then he goes out there because she leaves and then he argues with her, and then he grabs her with that forceful grab on her arms and he kisses her on the lips, and she gets shocked by him because she's never really been in that kind of situation. But, even though she was, just teenager, I could feel it because I was a teenager when I got married, so young love, I guess, is, sometimes it can last and sometimes it doesn't. But that's the chemistry I thought was there between the two of them. I thought they were really cute as a couple. And it just made me go, oh, my heart melted because I felt bad for him. And he got in his car and he left because he knew that she was going to leave. And just like he said at the end of the movie, what he does with her, it was so romantic because he said he packed a bag and put it in the back of her truck that night before because he knew that he knew her, he knew her that well that when she said she was going to do something, how determined she was going to do it, whether it was a good thing or not, and that she needed someone to take care of her. And he was willing to give his position, his job, and go with her because he knew that she was going to do it with or without anyone else, because her brother wasn't going to, He wasn't going to give up that girl. Instead of asking her to go with him, he decided to just give it up because he wasn't interested. And when you were listening to the camaraderie between the record producer and Christy McNichol's character, and he was talking about how he had a hit record earlier. So apparently he had a hit record. He was doing really good, and he couldn't take the pressure of it. So he became basically a party animal where he's just drinking, traveling around, to the lazy way of being able to get women and all that stuff without having to put in all the work. And she was doing all the work. She was finding the gigs. She was writing the songs. She was doing, collecting the money, picking out where they were going to go, all that stuff. So she wanted it. He didn't. And that's what she had to grow. That's what made her grow up. And she finally realized that they wanted two different things. They didn't want the same things in their lives. So I just thought it was so romantic at the end. I loved it. And he gets in her car with his boxer shorts and his little wife beater shirt. It was just so romantic. If a guy ever did that to me, my heart would melt. I just know I would, because it was so sweet.
Yeah, Arlen Dean Snyder's in one of my favorite military movies. Not favorite, it's in my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Clint Eastwood made Heartbreak Ridge in 1986,
Yeah.
and he plays a hell of a buddy for Clint Eastwood's character in that film.
He's a good actor too.
Fucking amazing.
When that scene where he jumped in with that bat thing he had behind the bar, when Seth was walking over there, and he said, as long as my name is out front and I'm in here, what I say goes. That whole scene was so intense, and it looked real to me.
Yeah.
If I'd been standing in there, I would have been, scared. I mean, that, there was going to be a bad fight going on. But I thought both of those actors worked really well off each other. They played well, emotionally wise. And the guy that played Seth, he was a good actor too.
This movie just it reminds me of so many things you see in small town America.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody knows somebody that they put out something, or like they'll go to like the local bar and they'll make people turn heads for like 2 years, and somebody will snap them up and put them on front stage. Hey, you're going to be the front man.
Yeah.
And they do that, and they do a very good job of maybe 1 or 2 seasons, and then fame might catch up to them and they kind of lose track of themselves, because that's what happens. Most people are not trained to know how to handle fame, and stupid people wanting to, hey, I bought your album for $15. What can I do for you? Can we hang out? Can we, and like everybody wants to do like that. And everybody that I know that got into this stuff, like they've toe tipped and they'd get out. Now, some of them I know have toe tipped a few different times. Like Chad Gray, he grew up on 4th Street and Joint, 3rd Street and Joint in Latham, Illinois. He used to sing for a band called Mudvayne, and then he sang for Hell Yeah. And I think they're trying to put things back together with Hell Yeah because their drummer just died.
Mm-hmm.
Vinnie Paul, for those of you guys in chat. And I grew up with Chad. He lived a block away from me. He was 4 years older than me. We all knew who he was. He was not the guy you see on stage today. He was a lot more messed up. He was unfocused. And once he moved in with his aunt, not that his grandparents were bad for him, but his grandparents didn't have a handle on him. And once he moved up with his aunt put down the law and said, I know you've been in trouble down in Logan County. This is Peoria. You will get killed here. Mm-hmm. And so he got his act together and he became a fucking singer. And then they actually went the right way about it, and he became mostly a star. Now, he's kind of in not a retirement stage right now, but he's at a point where he can produce. He doesn't have to be on stage. And so he can do that if he wants, but he's still got the bug to go out and perform. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people I know, other people I know, like Steve Mason from Jars of Clay, they were big in the 90s. Maybe not a band you listen to, but they had 1 or 2 good songs, and they had a pretty good album. They were kind of Christian rock, and they did fairly well for what they were. And then he's kind of got a quiet life going on now. He's still willing to throw the strap around his shoulder and jam out at a church session, or if they do something focused on that, from what I understand. But he's not the same. He's not got the same drive because he's been in auditoriums. He's had 50,000 people in front of him while they jam out and they play their one hit wonder. And
Hmm.
that was, something that a lot of people I know have done. I just grew up in a town that had two musical fucking prodigies in my high school and in my neighborhood. So you have these things, and if people don't watch themselves, they kind of get swallowed up by the machine. And then next thing you
Yeah.
know, like, hey, Bobby's on drugs. Hey, Bobby's on smack. Hey, Bobby's on every fucking tabloid. Remember the Drew Barrymore 1986 issues of People magazine where like they found Drew Barrymore drunk again, and here's a drunken 11-year-old child, and people just don't know how to deal with fame.
Yeah, but see, to me, that was so sad. I remember seeing all that, and I was thinking, where was her mom? Because my mom was always, wherever I looked, my mom was standing there pointing her finger at me or grabbing me on the back of my arm or something. So my mom was just seemed like my mom was always around. And when she wasn't around, I'd feel like if I did something, like I remember the first time I snuck cigarettes out of her purse and took them with me to hang out with some of my friends. And we were out, riding a horse and out in the woods stuff. And we were puffing on cigarettes, and I threw up a couple times because I'd never smoked or whatever. But I remember when I went home, and I wasn't worried that my mom could smell me or anything because my mom smoked, right? So,
Mhm.
but I felt like it was written all over me, like, and she said, "What's going on?" She kept asking me what happened, because she knew something was wrong, but she didn't know what it was. And I was like, "Nothing. Why?" She goes, "Was you just acting funny?" She just knew. So she knew something. And then she said, it was a couple of weeks after that, because I was out in the woods with my friend smoking, smoking on a couple, and I take them cigarettes too, see, and I act all macho or whatever. And we were lighting matches and throwing them on the ground and stomping them out. Well, I went to stay the night with one of my girlfriends, and my mom called me and said, "You need to come home. The woods behind the house is on fire, and we need to make sure the yard, keep the grass watered or whatever until the fire come." And I was like, and I went and I ended up telling my mom that was me and my friends, because I stole cigarettes and I was out there. And then I got grounded for 2 months, but I felt like she already do anyways. That's why she called me. But she really just needed as many people there as possible to have buckets of water. And she had taken a couple of buckets and poked holes in with an ice pick, and she'd fill them up, and we'd just run through the yard, walking back and forth with the water dripping out to keep the grass dry, wet, so it wouldn't burn. So my mom was really smart. I mean, she was just, she grew up on a farm herself, and she was just a smart woman. But she was this hover. She was one of those hover mothers where she didn't want us to get hurt or in trouble. You know, I
Here
Until
you
I had
are.
my own daughter, you don't think about it, because a daughter can go out and come back with an extra person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was one of the things my
Oops.
mom worried about. But my mom had all of her daughters graduate from high school, and none of us ever had to have a shotgun wedding. So all of her friends were like, had a party for her after we all moved out. uh, for being able to have all her kids graduate from high school, and none of them had to have a shotgun wedding. Believe it or not, that's pretty bad, isn't it? But she was so
That,
proud of us, all of us
th-
girls.
this
But we were
movie,
afraid of our mother. We were afraid that we would get our ass beat, or we'd get grounded, or just her looking at us wrong. And it would just, we were just scared of her, when it came to that. When we loved her, though, we really loved our mom, and I really respect her. And I thought she was the best mom in the world. So, and that's what made me, my heart felt bad for Christy Nichols' character, because that scene where a comrade pulls up behind her and she's letting the dog out, and she's got to meet her brother in wherever it was, some Hobunk town in Georgia. He told her to meet her there because that's what it said
Mhm.
on the bus. And
And while he's on the bus, he has himself a little refreshment.
yeah, and there's it's not a motel. That whole thing I thought was good. But when he's talking to her and he finally says, "Okay, if you just tell me the truth, then I'll go easy on you or whatever, and I'll try to help you out." And that's when she says, "And you should feel sorry for me because I'm an orphan." That whole thing, the whole spiel that she gave, I
Yeah.
just thought it was adorable. And I could tell, when he was walking away from her at the courthouse, and he said, I know that half the shit that you say is bullshit, but I just don't know which half. So he was already picking up on everything about her. All the little things that the brother just took for granted, he was really paying attention to because he was interested in her. I don't think at first, I don't think he was interested in her in that way, but he felt
No.
sorry for her and he wanted to help her out.
Yeah,
And
he,
that's how
he realized
that's,
he was a tax on her. He was a burden. He realized this towards the end. I like the movie. It just reminds me of Small Town America very much. I mean, this is not a movie that you watch if you want to see like, soldiers kill robots, or this is not a movie if you're going to watch like, hey, we're going to watch William Friedkin direct a car chase. No. This is a movie that basically this is what happens to the girl you knew in high school that didn't have a good set of parents, and things happen. It's not a bad film. It does end well, but this is not a movie that you go see like big changes in reality. This is a film that you could probably write a script yourself of like a story, because you saw this in high school and middle school, and you saw this growing up. I mean, this you know these people that are in this movie. They were on your bowling team, or one of their Janet. Janet must have popped out. Yeah. Here
can
she
you hear
is.
me? Okay,
Here
I'm
we are.
back. Sorry, I got everything just went blank. It was just little circle spinning.
That's the internet saying no bueno. Hey, Shadow and Sun. Um,
So I got kicked out. I
I
guess
did.
I was boring the computer to death.
Um,
So
this movie is like what you get whenever you just like write a film about a small event or a small thing, but you have good characters.
mhm.
And this is not a film you want to watch if you want to watch big, larger than life shit happen. This is a
Yeah,
movie.
it's not a blockbuster.
No,
It's an indie movie. It's
I
made on
have
a
seen,
small budget. Yeah, but it was
and it,
very good. I thought it had good acting in it. I thought the sets were all believable. The locations were believable for the parts. Um, uh, but the thing is, I don't really remember knowing any real men in real life that had that kind of lifestyle that were just like rolling in the hay with every girl they met. Basically, I never was around anything like that. So I guess, that part was a little over the top for me. But the whole fact that the sister and brother relationship that they had on screen, all of that was very believable to me. So I definitely fell for both of them because of that. And I thought they were so cute together. And I just thought they just seemed like they really could be brother and sister to me from the script and the portrayal from the two actors. How
okay.
they got mad at each other. And then the one cute scene where the brother is walking down the railroad tracks. And it's funny too, because his shirt was always open. You know what I mean? He never had his shirt buttoned. He was always buttoning up his shirt or unbuttoning his shirt. That was one of the common things I noticed. But I guess that was big in that time during movie making. But when she's chasing him and she gets his, she's got his guitar and she's like, "Come here, I want you to hear that what our next hit song or whatever." And she sits down with him and she starts singing that song with him. I thought that was a really heartwarming scene for me between a brother and a sister. And how proud he was of her when he really listened to it, and he was like, "Hey, that's pretty good." So, and then him bragging to the record guy about how she wrote half the songs that were on their list. So she was talented, even though she was just a kid, basically. So she could have a career if she was to work on her voice and keep writing songs.
This movie kind of sent me this message that these two actors could these two actors could have actually made a career outside of film.
Hmm.
Maybe it might not have been the brightest career, it wouldn't have been the most showiest career, but it would have been fulfilling. And both of them have a lot of talent. Both
Hmm.
of them have a lot of heart. Um, I don't know Christy McNichol, her work so much. I've seen a few movies of hers in the past, and we'll go through them. And I'm going to definitely throw Little Darlings on the list because you got Tatum O'Neal, and Christy McNichol. And I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, when I was a wee boy, that was like the ideal chick you want to, like,
Yeah, one was
30.
pretty, one was the girly girl and the other one was the tomboy girl. So you had both of them,
Yeah.
In one movie, which is why I liked it so much, because I was a tomboy, and get to see a tomboy, uh, um, I don't know, be liked by the boys. I thought that was pretty good because I never had that growing up. I tell you, all the guys would come home, they'd seem interested in me, but then they'd beat my sister, either one that's a little older than me or one that's a little younger than me, and then they'd never call me again. They'd never ask me out. They always wanted to hang out with my sister. So it's like, oh well, they like blondes with big boobs. So, oh well, that's the way it is. But that was real life for me in the country, where I lived. I was one of those. I just went horseback riding a couple of days ago, and I loved it. And the girl gave me her information, and she said, because I was asking her, how could I, how much would it cost me a month to sign up to where I could just come ride a horse whenever I wanted? And she said, well, if you just wanted to come and hang out a couple of days a week, you can come help me clean the barn and, brush the horses and stuff. I just let you ride whenever you want. And I was like, oh, so I'm going to try to fit that in my schedule on my Wednesdays or Thursdays and start going once a week to that place and do that. Because I would love to do that. I miss it. And I rode for over almost an hour, and I was awesome. So you forget how much you love stuff like that from when you were young, when you get the chance to try it again. It was great. But I just thought she was adorable when she went out there with her little cowboy boots on and shorts to shoot. And he was out there shooting Mark Hamill's character. And she ran out to her truck and got that 357 Magnum out of the glove box and took it over there. And he was like, we were made for each other because we have the same gun or whatever.
Yeah, that was cute.
But I thought you were going to say something about how she held the gun and how she shot it and all that stuff, because you normally do. You're very picky about how girl, you're lucky you didn't blow your foot off or shoot him the whole time she's holding that gun.
I wasn't going to say she was an Alex Baldwin waiting to happen, but I mean, I am going to say that, like, I can tell that this was not something that she normally did.
No, you could definitely tell. Because remember, the brother said too that they hadn't had bullets in it. It hadn't had bullets in it since the dad shot himself, and she doesn't really do anything. She just sometimes puts it under her pillow or whatever. So she doesn't really shoot the weapon. You see what I mean? So that fit. That's what I was going to say. I was going to see if you were going to say anything about it, but that fit. Everything they talked about with that fit that part of the movie, and then you had to have a reason why there was a bullet in the gun still for later on. So when she shoots it a couple times, and then she takes it over there and puts it back in the glove box, and then you don't hear about the gun until later on in that one scene. So, but it made sense that she would do that. You know what I mean? So, and plus it showed you that there was probably a lot more time that we didn't see on camera that her and Conrad were together, hanging out while her brother was in jail, basically, before he had to go work at the pea farm to earn his money.
I'm pretty okay with that. I mean,
so
we don't need to see every aspect of their togetherness. I don't want to see every kiss. I don't need to see every arm around her little slim waist. I don't need to see Mark Hamill in high-waisted jeans more than what I did.
Well, yeah, but that was basically from when the movie was filmed. Weren't they high-waisted? Yeah, because somebody posted something on Twitter about it when I posted the link, to talk about to come join us tonight, and they had put a picture under of Steve Urkel. The pants were right up under his, right up basically where his boobs would be, because there's in those suspenders stuff. It was hilarious, but yeah. different clothes.
I'm not going to say that's who he reminded me of, but Lady one, hate to bounce early, but I have overtime in the morning. Good night, all. Hey, Lady, have a great evening.
Thank you for coming by.
Yes, sir.
Hope we didn't bore you too much.
I don't think we bore him. I think he's got a. I think he's got responsibilities. He's got his head in the right spot.
Yeah. Good.
I like this movie. I'm a big fan of the actors that are in it. It's got Dean Arlen in it. It's Arlen Dean, whatever his name is, that plays in Heartbreak Red. You've got Barry Corbin, who he's in a lot of things that I've got in my physical.
Yeah, the girl though, that was the only thing. The only character that really didn't ring my bell was the girl, Sunny Johnston, that played Melody, the love interest for him. She was the one girl that when I was young and in high school, I never would be friends with because she was stuck up and snobby. She was like, you coming over trying to think of something to say to me. You're like, I'm so hot. Everybody wants to be around me. I'm so sick of everybody fawning on me. That attitude. Oh, I hated that because I had sisters like that, so it was like, when you look in the mirror and think, oh, I'm so pretty, all the time, that's not the kind of people I used to hang with. You know what I mean? So I was like, I didn't like her. I just thought she was stuck up snob. And that's what I said to you out loud. I don't know if you heard me or not. When I said, why do men always want the one girl they can't get?
You like to swing for the bleachers.
It's like, so lame. I didn't like her character.
You'll never understand that, Janet, because you have a vagina.
I guess not. Now, see what if a guy was an ass to me? This one guy asked me out on a date, and he played football. He might have been the quarterback or something. I don't remember. And he was cute. So I said, okay, I went out with him. But the whole night he was like looking at his hands and messing with his hair in the mirror and talking about, see those hands? That's some nice hands, stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God. I never went out with him again. I mean, to me, he was so stuck on himself. I didn't have any interest in him. He wasn't fun. He played some decent music in his radio in his car or whatever, but it sucked. I mean, he was no fun. I mean, I liked guys that were fun. Hey, let's go down to the lake and we'll have a bonfire and play music and, go frog gigging, or let's go bowling, or, something fun. These guys he was terrible. So I didn't go out with him again. So I wasn't one of those girls. I didn't like it because I just didn't. But let's see. I pulled out this. I'll read this.
Tits in a candy bar when we're young, unobtainium from thereafter.
Well, Well, thank you, Boosh. That's nice. Thank you for saying that. I mean, I don't think I'm ugly, but I don't think I'm the most beautiful woman, and I don't want to walk around with my nose in the air where I drown every time it rains. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think it's shallow when people walk around and think all they think about is themselves, because that shows me in the relationship who's going to get all the attention. If they don't get all the attention, they're not going to be in a relationship very long. I mean, at least that's how I felt about it. About if you're a stuck up person, that's, you should be with someone else that's stuck up, apparently.
My wife has seen a problem with the way that we handle dogs.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
No. She says we went over to Chris's the other night, or yesterday after we finished up breakfast, because he brought over Kaylee on Saturday, the little cute terrier-esque dog that he's got, the little Heinz 57, which I've seen the blood work on her. She's truly a Heinz 57. It's like 13% Chihuahua. That's the most she's got in her from one breed. Yeah. She's got a lot of pit in her, a lot of different American pit bulls and bullies and Boston Terrier, just a lot of pit. But then she has like 3% Terrier, and that all went to her face. Now, she's a daddy's girl, so she's going to be with Chris. But Chris has a foxhound and a brindle pit, and they'll be around my wife until I enter the room, and then they're like right on top of me. And the wife got upset. She's like, "Why can't I ever find a dog that doesn't like you so much?" I'm like, "I don't know." She's that's going to be the
Did
thing
you
whenever
buy
we
her a little teacup Chihuahua or
no
one of those
no
little bitty small
no
dogs that she can carry around with her all the time? I guarantee it will just want to be with her. It won't be wanting to cry and go to you all the time if she gets to hold it all the time and love
no.
on it, put
If
clothes
I
on it, all that
if,
stuff.
if I got her a toy dog of any breed, she
Hmm.
would go full bore Korean on it, and I would never see that dog again. She
What does that
wants a
mean?
pit. She wants a pit bull or
Okay, well,
Staffordshire.
get her whatever dog it is that she wants. One that
But
it's a small puppy, and she gets to have all the hands-on stuff for a while, and I guarantee it will be her dog. Because I did that when I got my little Chihuahua that I didn't want. I like Shih Tzus, and my Shih Tzu died. She got run over, and I was heartbroken over it. And my sister Sandy was doing nails for some rich lady, and was trying to get uh, a purebred, really nice Chihuahua, applehead Chihuahua, like the ones my mom wanted, but little, one that wasn't going to be over, 5 pounds or whatever, so or 6 pounds, and she was doing nails for this lady. Well, Sandy had got the dog, and then my mom had came to visit, and she was going to give it to him. My mom wouldn't take it. She made me take it. So my sister did nails for this lady, 3 or 4 sets of nails, and I got the dog. And I didn't even want it because it was a Chihuahua. But my mom said, "I want you to have it, and because I can't, I need you to have it because you just lost your baby or whatever." So that's how I got Jack, my little Chihuahua. I named him Cracker Jack, and he was spoiled rotten. I had a car seat for him and everything, and I didn't even like Chihuahuas, but my mom taught him to sit up. He was so smart. And but when he was old enough, he was a little over 6 months old. My best friend had a part Chihuahua that was small. She wasn't real big, but she wasn't a purebred. You could tell because her head was really big and stuff like that. So I took my dog over there when she was in heat, and I had to put him up on a couple pillows, but he went to town. So I got pick of the litter, and I got a little tiny one, and it ended up being she was 4 pounds and she was full grown. And my mom named her Mimi, and I took her and gave her that dog, and my mom just carried her everywhere. She adored her, and she was tiny. I mean, she was a little tiny little Chihuahua, and my mom just loved her to death. And so she ended up finally getting a puppy of her own, but it was a lot of work. But I had Jack for like almost 15 years. He was a really good dog, even though I was like, he shedded on me, because that's why I like the Shih Tzus, because of my allergies. I wanted a dog that wouldn't shed on me and all that. So I ended up with this little Chihuahua, that one I was telling you that liked to kill rats and stuff. That was him. So that's how I ended up getting him. But that dog in the movie with Christy McNichol was a shaggy muffin mutt, like Benji or whatever, but with a raggedy.
she reminded me of the '70s animal. You remember Here's Boomer?
Mm-mm.
Okay, there used to be a half-hour show about this dog named Boomer, which was like during the height of the Benji craze.
Mm-hmm.
There was Boomer, which he was like, "We have Benji at home," and Boomer was just a shaggy dog that whenever you would watch his show, he would like usually be around cops and he would help solve a crime within the 23 minutes of the half hour show. And it was a very cute, aimed at children sort of show, pet friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was a movie with Ricky Schroeder. I want to say it was Ricky Schroeder called Chomps, where they had a Chomps. It was a android dog looking like Benji and Boomer, and it was a stupid movie. But if you're a child,
Was it
it's
a Disney movie? Because
I believe
I
it is.
think I remember something about a dog named Chomps or something. Because remember, I mostly went and saw when we lived on the Air Force bases. My mom, it cost 50 cents to go to the movie theater, right? My mom would drop us off, and we would buy our tickets and watch the movie. And she'd come back in like within 3 hours to pick us up, all of us kids. And I always bought tickets to go see movies, even though I wasn't supposed to. Those are the movies that I would go see. So I didn't go see all these Disney movies like my sisters went to see, or these, you know, girly movies or whatever. So I just like scary stuff. So, oh well, I missed a lot of these good things when I was growing up, which is good now because now I'm getting to watch some of these movies that I didn't see because you've introduced me to a lot of movies I've never even heard of. So I'm liking that, getting to see.
Crafting Gamer asked earlier, he's like, "Hey guys, what's your favorite movie? Even if it's a bad movie, what's your favorite movie?" And I'm like, "Favorite bad movie? Well, there's two. One would be Death Wish 3, and the
Mhm.
other is Midnight Meat Train, which is probably bad for me, but I really enjoy that film.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't very good. I mean, it was
It could have been longer. It could have expanded on the
the
novella that Clive
creatures.
Barker wrote. Yeah,
Yeah, that part of it would have been helped a lot, but it just made it too far fetched because it was too hard to understand that there's this whole group of people feeding these creatures under the ground. I don't know. It just was, but I liked some of the actors that were in it. Yes, that's
I
really cool.
it was the best movie that Brooke Shields has been in my opinion.
I don't
And
remember Shields being in that movie.
Brooke Shields is in Midnight Meat Train. She plays the art director.
Oh, that's right. She's older. I was thinking of being an older movie, so she'd be young in it. Yeah,
No,
the interviewer lady.
you're not watching Return of the Blue Lagoon with Mila Jokovic.
But see, that's what I was going to ask about this movie. She sang in this movie, but didn't she make Pirates of Penzance or something after she was in this, Chrissy
She made a
McNichol?
pirate movie.
Yeah, and she sang in it or something, right?
Yep. And that's the movie
Okay.
that she went absolutely batshit. I'm stressed, PTSD, movies on hold for a year while she gets herself fixed up.
I wonder what happened to her.
Probably a big dick in her trailer that she didn't appreciate from a boss or a studio
Yeah,
head.
it must have been something, but she
I'm
was
I'm
in
thinking
Australia. Didn't they film that in Australia?
I thought it was France.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't look that up, but I don't even know if I even saw that movie. And she dyed her hair blonde.
Now, The Pirates of Penzance was a great movie.
So that's not the same movie though, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, she was in the pirate movie, but didn't she dye her hair blonde for that movie?
I think so.
And she wore like a beautiful white frilly dress. I'm trying to remember. And there was a really cute guy that was in Blue Lagoon, right? That was in it with her.
That's the Pirates of Penzance, to my knowledge.
See, I'm getting them mixed up then. But I just remember her singing in a movie. So.
I know I probably said some no words there. I said no words all the time, kids. So just get used to it.
Which no word did you say?
Oh no. I just said she probably had a big dick in her trailer she didn't
Oh,
appreciate.
oh well, she's an adult. Remember, she was not a underage kid in this movie.
No.
Or the movie after. So she was a woman, a grown woman. So to me, I don't think that's a no word. I mean, But did you didn't see that movie, the one I'm talking about?
No.
Yes, yeah.
I'm trying to get my browser has a hard time with IMDb. So I'm going to have to use Microsoft Edge for a moment. Pray for my computer.
But see, like this shirt that I'm wearing right now, I stole this out of my dad's closet. It's got the little snap buttons and stuff. Oops. No. Snap buttons that real country boys wear. It's easy access, I guess. Plus, I'm wearing the boots I'm wearing are my dad's. They're the ones that I found when I was cleaning this closet out and had new heels and stuff put on them. Tony llamas, I think. They're nice. I like them a lot. But none of my other sisters wanted them, so I got to keep them. And my dad can't wear them anymore.
The pirate movie was with Christopher Adkins, which I believe he's also in the Blue Lagoon.
Christopher Adkins. Is it the guy from Blue Lagoon? Because it looked from the trailer, it looked like it was him.
Yep, he's the same guy. He plays Richard Lestrange on Blue Lagoon. He also played Jacob in Chinaman's Chance, America's Other.
I didn't see that either. I don't guess.
Not a good movie.
Mm.
Where is the Pirates of Penzance? Let me. All right.
But movies like the one with Jamie Lee Curtis and David Copperfield, it's called Terror Train or something like that. That was a scary movie. Now that's a movie. See, that's a movie that I know about because that's the kind of movies that I would like to go to. I want the scary movies mostly. So, and that one, there was another one. It was called Fun House. Did you see that one? Where it's like a deformed person that worked at the circus or the fair or whatever you call it, where they had those little, things where you throw darts at the balloons and all that stuff at the fair, the carnival or whatever. And he was killing people that would ride the Funhouse ride. So that was a pretty good scary movie. So, Friday the 13th, all those type of movies. Those are the ones I went to see. So what are you trying to look up? See, my hat doesn't look too much like a cowboy hat. I look like, what was that guy's name, that guitar player? Some crazy guitar player that likes to do drugs. I can't remember what band it was in either, but he wears a hat kind of like this one. Oh, I already had to restart a while ago when I got booted. So he's saying he's having hard times with his computer. So, oh, thank you, Jerry. That's nice of you to say that. But yes, he's really cruelly. But if any of you have seen this movie, if you liked Christy McNichol, then you probably really did love it, because I really did. I thought this was a really good movie. It was very heartwarming, and I love the relationship between the brother and sister, how they argued with each other, and then finally he gets to a point in his life where he meets someone that he can start thinking about wanting to actually have his own family with, settling down and just being a normal man. And the little sister wasn't ready for that, because all she could think of was going to Nashville and becoming a star, even if she had to leave him behind and do it by herself. So I thought that's one of the things that was so cute. But little did she know that she was going to meet a young, handsome police officer that would fall in love with her and want to give up his career and go with her on the road. So that's how it ends. Oh, that's right. Slash. Is that his name? But, oh well. I think I got a nicer hat than his. Mine's made of leather. Nice. I like it. But, yeah, Guns N' Roses. But I'm not him. But, yeah, this movie's good. I liked it. I'm glad I got Bruce to watch it. I had to rig it up because he couldn't find it anywhere online. So I put my phone on one of my stands with my lights and pointed it to my TV set, and he got to watch it, got to see it. So it was like, when you sneak your camera or something into the movie theater and record it, that's basically what it looked like. But it worked out. He got to see it. He got to listen to the good music and stuff. It has lots of good country western music in it. So if you like country western, you'd like it. Yeah. I was really sad and heartbroken at the end, because I cried when he died. And I cried more when, because Six Nations, 31 Kings, you've seen the movie then, because at the very end where Conrad shows up and he tells her, scoot over, because he took off his uniform and left it in the police car, and he's wearing his boxers and a little white wife beater, with his boots and stuff. Oh, I just thought it was so romantic. And then when he gets in there and he's hugging her and he's not groping her or nothing, he's not being gross. He's being a total gentleman, which I thought was so romantic. And the fact that he tells her that he knew that she was stubborn and that she was going to leave, that he packed a bag and put it in the back of the truck the night before. I just thought that was so sweet. And oh, it was so romantic. I just bawled my eyes out because I was so happy for her that she wasn't alone, even though she'd lost her brother. And she lost everything because that was all that she had left, was that the gun from her dad, the pickup truck, the stinky dog, and now she had a man that loved her. So welcome back.
Sorry about that.
Same thing happened to me.
Windows, whenever I start surfing around IMDb, that site is so laden with shit scripts behind the scenes that I think I'm just going to have to use like a different device just to surf through IMDb.
Yeah, that's why I use my other phone. I told you that this really old piece of crap iPhone 7, I can't even update anymore. Will not let me update anything on it. There's a couple apps I can still update, but this is what I do on my, reading and, so I can see the chat and everything on. But when I get a new phone, I guess I'll use that old phone like this one and finally have to get rid of this one because, they're fixing it where you can't update it, so you can't save money and use it. Even for right now, I just have music and stuff on it too. I take it to the gym and, listen to my songs and stuff through my little headphones. But
this movie is kind of like a sequel of sorts. It is not a sequel, but if you've watched the movie Breaking Away from 1975 or 1979, one of those 2 years, Breaking Away is a movie with some really good actors, and Dennis Quaid and Daniel Stern are in there, and Jackie Earle Haley, who plays quite a few people in life. I believe he does the last movie he did that was really big was Watchmen.
Yeah.
But Jackie Earle is in that movie along with like out of the 4 guys, the main character didn't do a whole lot. I mean, he's still quote unquote an actor, but Dennis Quaid got big. Daniel Stern got really big in the late 80s, early 90s with the Home Alone movies. And then Jackie Earle he's a short little dude that's just a fucking firecracker. He's very fun, and he's fun to watch on film. But he had a really badass career, and I really like watching him. And then they're all in this movie Breaking Away, where they all play these residents of a town that happens to have a college in it. So their little paradise after high school is beset by people from out of town that are ruining the good things that this town has. It's a fun movie.
There's always someone wanting to ruin a good town.
Yeah. Well, the Watchmen was pretty.
There's assholes in every city.
There's only one Watchmen on video, and that's the 2009 movie. I do not watch the bastardization of the Watchmen that they try to come out with, much like I didn't watch
the series.
Amazon.
You mean the series?
The series. I did not watch
Yeah,
that.
I didn't watch it either. But
the
director from this movie, Ronald Maxwell. Do you ever heard of him before?
A little bit.
See, I don't. His name doesn't ring a bell. I mean, I thought he did a great job in this movie. The fact that he didn't make more movies to get his name out there, I thought was kind of weird when I was looking for it, because this was a very good, well-made movie. It had told a great story, a love story between brother and sister. The love for a brother and a love for a sister, and how they deal with each other, and the fact that both of their love interests, for the future or whatever too. And the story behind the story, like with Seth being a brute and controlling, and he's like basically an abusive relationship with the girl Melody that I thought was kind of stuck up, and that's probably why they made her character like that. She was so, um, you know,
Flawed, critically flawed. All right. So StreamYard and the interwebs are completely fucking up tonight. And I'm sorry, Janet will be back. Yeah, Bush McFadden, the HBO series was an absolute tragedy. But everything here that's big name and they think they're going to be able to sell you, it turns out to be shit. It's shit. Oh, Amazon. Amazon's got their PR guy out. What are they going to ruin now? Well, we've already done the things you didn't want us to. So we're going to make a series of all the things you like, and they all get together. It'll be the Gremlins and Transformers and G.I. Joe. We're going to put all the things from your childhood, and we're going to ruin it all. And then you're going to find out that Mickey Mouse is behind it all. Freddy's Nightmares was better than that dumpster fire. Yeah, Freddy's Nightmare was a really bad horror TV show. 89, 90. And I tried to like it. I really tried to like that show. But every time that I would start watching it, it just sucked. And so it was, okay, well, I guess I'll record more Friday the 13th, the series, which had nothing to do with the Friday the 13th, movies. Actually, it was a scarier thing where you had the Friday the 13th being used as a name, but it was kind of a cool concept because you had these people that had to go out and find the evil artifacts that Satan used to twist the minds of people around them. And I really like that. In fact, the entire backstory for the campaign Tolus was introduced to me on that specific idea. Janet will be back shortly. It's you have the city of Tolus, which had existed for years, but this guy had done this horrible work, and he had found all these evil artifacts and put them in a vault. Janet will be back. It's okay, Janet. And the vault that all these evil artifacts were in decide they piss the earth off so much the earth creates this huge tower called the Spire and puts it at the edge of town. And that's the first big adventure you have, is trying to figure out what's going on. Why is everything going wrong? Because there's a marketplace you go to, and there's a person walking around with a bit of a problem. They're kind of having magical seizures, and people that are around them trying to help them are getting like spontaneous spells blasting out of their body. Like, this person will cast magic missiles at people and try not to hurt them, but anything that she looks at is going to get hit with a magic missile next round. And so you have to go make them succumb to 0 hit points, otherwise you've got a real issue. And then you've got another person that they're doing something where they have caused themselves to defy gravity, and they're 200 feet in the air. You got to figure out a way to get them down without killing them. And then, you have another situation, and just the Tolus was wonderful because you are introduced to it with that vault scenario, and you find out that there's an orc that had wandered in after a group of bad guys led by a beholder had tunneled their way through the barriers, and they started to loot what was going inside the vaults. And this orc goes in and he grabs something, and it starts to metastasize and take over his body, and it wants out. So he wanders back outside and starts giving everyone around him like a little bit of magic here, a little bit of magic there. And there's actually an evil entity that will come together if too much time passes and the city is really fucked. But if you don't do that, then you just have like a, well, we found this orc and he's been places, and you have a magical piece of what's it? It's an unobtainium, and it tells us to go to this location. Very cool. So we're still waiting on Janet to come back. Don't worry. We're not worried about it, Janet. This has been a night. This has been a night that the lights have gone out intermittently between Fort Smith, Arkansas, and San Antonio, Texas. That's quite okay. It's all right. And for those of you that know Janet personally, yes, I gave you the wrong address, but I don't want people bothering her. I don't need people bothering her dog, bothering her chickens. Let the lady enjoy herself. She'll be there on Friday to invite you in a stream, and you'll have a lot of fun because it'll be Janet and Sandy. For the 6 people over at Rumble, hello, how are you tonight? Okay. The orc should have been named Marshak. It really should have. Jack Marshak was the old man. I think he died not long after that series ended, which was a shame because he was really a good actor. That's actually a much better show than the movies ever were. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. My weekend was busy. We had a big game on Saturday. And then Sunday, we went out for lunch. No, breakfast, brunch, same thing. I'll show you real quick what I had, because that's what you do. The place I go to is called Max and Louie's American Diner. Actually, Max and Louie's New York Diner. And that is the home fries, the strip steak, the 2 eggs over medium that I received. If you're in San Antonio, if you're in the greater San Antonio area and would like to see our studio audience, please take us out to eat at Max and Louie's New York Diner. My bad. But this is that's one of the best places to go for food in the city, and that's saying a lot because this city has diabetes. Not people in it, the entire city. The entire city has diabetes. This is a great place to be if you like food, and I really enjoyed it. After we ate, we went over to see Chris and Amanda and the 4 dogs, and the wife got a little bit of doggy attention before the dogs realized I was there, and then it was just kind of like, oh, well, Bruce is here, and he's got a head that smells like olive oil. Never mind. Yeah, the Jack Marshak actor was super talented. Louise Roby, she had the biggest head of hair. Huge head of hair. I love that woman. I don't think anybody didn't love her. She was just gorgeous. She was supposed to be a musician, and then she got into that show. She did 4 seasons on that show, I believe. The last season got kind of awkward, but it wrapped up. It did what most shows don't. It actually ended. I'm looking at you, Winchester boys. I will eventually watch that series. I'm just waiting for the 17th season to end. Crafting Gamer says, I spent the entire weekend working on my game board. This is going to take a lot longer than I initially gave her credit for. I'm having a lot of fun, though. That's supposed to be it, not her. Okay. Six Nation says, I dusted and did domestic shit. I got to run all of the AC without any problems. It was good. Yeah, it's going to be an expensive year for me and the wife. Last year, we were paying $300 a month for cooling because we live on the third floor, which is why we're looking at a home that's a house that's not here, that's kind of in a more of a subdivision portion of the city. On right now it's the outskirts. In 10 years we will be buried beneath stoplights and speed limits, HOAs. You know how it is. But this was a really good movie. This felt like a sequel to the movie Breaking Away, because Dennis Quaid's character doesn't really seem to be that different from the character of the macho bastard that he was in the wonderful macho bastard he is in Breaking Away. It just feels like he's playing a relative of the character he played in Breaking Away. And I was amazed when I saw this, and I'm like, this is really close. Yeah. Legion of Myth has a right idea. Fuck HOAs! Fuck HOAs! Fuck HOAs! I don't know if I could do that with my death metal voice. Let's try that. Fuck HOAs! Sorry. We do weird things while we're waiting for our co-host to be able to have technical difficulties depart, and they can join us on stream. If you would like to join us on stream, I might add that don't expect anytime soon. We've got some reserved shows we're doing in the near future. Pods and bugs and AI gods. And the 2020s are such a damn drag. I want my cyberpunk, damn it. Tell you what, if they can make it to where you don't hurt, where the cyberware doesn't physically cause pain, my wife and I might be willing to look at that. My wife does not have a joyful existence. She's got a lot of nerve damage, so she likes to do crafting stuff, but she can do it for about an hour a day, and that's about it, because her shoulders and arms just kick out. They're like, we're done. That's it. We're not involved with this. So I'm not saying I'm really for the machines. I would rather keep my parts the creator had in mind when he made me, but I will just put it out there that I would welcome a technology that would actually benefit and prolong our time here. I know at some point we have to die, we have to go away, but it's just a thought. The Japanese hopping vampires are on my mind right now because they don't have the ability to bend their limbs. They just hop places because the tissue doesn't allow it to bend or flex. The muscles might atrophy, whereas the Western vampires can just move around and do stuff. I'm not really certain which one I'm more willing to try to say, okay, I want this in my game world. Janet's rebooting must be like my rebooting. Because after a while, I just said, fuck you, powered it down, and turned it back on again. I'll run a battery of tests when we're done with this. I'll let it go through its shit. But the errors I had tonight, it's like just the scripts that were put on IMDb, both for fucking Chrome, then Brave, which is my usual browser, and then I went over to Microsoft Edge. And that, I think, is what killed it. So I sat for 3 minutes not doing stuff. Janet's PC is a lot newer than mine, and I don't know why hers is taking so long, so I'm not going to try to pretend, but I do know she's on her way back in here. And if you haven't figured it out, like, my wife completely backs the idea of me and Janet doing this on Monday nights because my wife, one, she works these hours, and two, it might give her something to listen to while she's at work. And that would explain lurkers over on the side of Rumble, which I love Rumble. And I want Rumble to make a lot of money. I want Rumble to make a lot of success. Six Nation 31 Kings slides a sneaky one in there. He's like, no homo owners association. Yeah, I'm really not a fan of those. That's just like, we're gonna tell you how to live your life, even though you bought that house with your own money. Now pay us your annual dues. Who the fuck does that willingly? Legion of Myth, Rumble needs to allow permanent stream keys. I want to see the chat over here from Rumble. That way I don't have to like have other things open. I don't mind Rumble. I think it's got a lot of growth potential in it. I want it to get bigger and more well used, and that's the only way that's going to happen. It's not going to grow unless more people adopt it as their streaming solution. As YouTube continues to fuck up. And how does YouTube fuck up? Well, YouTube fucks up by telling you that you can't talk about the 2020 elections, even if you have proof that the mainstream narrative was absolute bullshit, which a lot of us have proof. It was in a Time magazine article. They even got rid of that video, which I thought was hilarious. YouTube got very upset with me. That's fine. YouTube's got an office in Austin, Texas, too. I have thought about it numerous times, going in there with cameras on and let's have a discussion. Probably wouldn't go very far. Probably be stopped by some thick-necked security with his balls removed, because that's the only way you get to work for Amazon or Google. Crafting Gamer says, Six Nation 31 King says, I blame COVID. Everything has been substandard since the trauma, internet, and everything. Yes. And then trying to say that this is probably not COVID related. Oh, that's great. Then I can sue the fuck out of Big Pharma. All right. So YouTube, several Twitch streamers have decided YouTube's better. That says a lot. YouTube just banned my guy, Dr. Disrespect. So he's like getting on a bunch of other affiliate streams of his, and they're popping up on YouTube on my feed. But I guess YouTube and him are done, and he's looking at Kick, which that'd be fine, I guess. I just like Dr. Disrespect. I think he's a funny motherfucker. I think he's a very, very good heel for online gaming. Six Nations 31 Kings states 8 Benjamins and get nasty emails about 2 dandelions in the yard, but the prick 5 doors down seems to be raising acres of the shit. They can fuck off a bridge with Dan. Yes, Dan has been fucked off so many times. He has written us a cease and desist letter because he is tired of this bridge. Well, Dan, get used to it. Fuck you. And here's where he gets off the bridge with Fauci and Winnie the Pooh, because we don't give a shit about your fucking opinions, YouTube. You can suck my fucking wrinkled, hairy cock. 2020. Okay, Legion of Myth says YouTube removed that rule recently because they want to say the 2024 election is stolen. Well, they can. I mean, they can do whatever they want, but I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what CNN says. Do you think I'm going to give a shit about what Google says? Ooh, she's back. Political talk's over. Everybody talk nice.
Okay. Sorry, I had to reboot my whole thing. I went and unplugged my router and everything. I don't know what happened. So it's weird. Sorry. Hopefully it'll work. I don't know what's going on.
Crafting Gamer says there's so many people at the bottom of the bridge that Dan fucked off. It's no longer a real threat. Six Nation 31 King says, speaking of heels, the Iron Sheik passed away a few days ago. I was not into wrestling as I was a kid, but he was such a good bad guy. And then they celebrate because you're returned. Welcome back, Janet.
Who is the Iron Sheik?
What?
Who's the Iron Sheik?
That was the guy that made Hulk Hogan. Okay. Taking
I don't
you
know who
back
that is.
1982. There's the Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon was a son of a wrestling mogul. And back before 81, if you were into pro wrestling as a job, you could go to Mid-South Entertainment and be like in Tennessee, and you'd go around Tennessee and Kentucky and maybe Alabama. But if you didn't like the way they did their management, you could go to Mississippi for the Super South, and you would go from Mississippi to Georgia and Florida. But if you didn't like the way they run that, then you would go to another location, because all around the United States, there was like a very discombobulated group of little wrestling kingdoms. And Vince McMahon's daddy ran one of them. And then in 1981, something happened called World Wrestling Federation.
Mm-hmm.
And he got them pretty much all to throw their biggest boys at him and get people in these farming programs. And they started to produce really good televised, or not televised, but really good wrestling programs. First off, I love you all. Wrestling is fake. Just have to say that. But
yeah,
the Iron Sheik was this bad guy that came out because the character he was playing as the Iron Sheik, for years before, for many years, he was in one of these kingdoms, and he would travel around a little bit, but he would play the good guy. And a lot of times, whenever he'd be brought in, he'd be wearing an Olympic medal because he helped train Olympic wrestlers. I'm just trying to let you know, like, the level of technical prowess. I think his last name was Faziz. I'm not going to touch my computer. I just got it back. I'm not fucking with it. But the guy that played the Iron Sheik was a true Greco-Roman wrestler. And he also used a lot of different alternative means to keep himself very fit. Yeah, like he had these 70-pound clubs that he would raise above his head and twirl around with his wrist. And Hulk Hogan would try to do that, and he'd damn near break his wrist. Nobody else in the Vince McMahon WWF could fuck with those clubs. So Iron Sheik, when he got involved with Vince McMahon's little group in the early 80s, he says, I'm not going to play the good guy anymore. I want to be the bad guy. The bad guy has all the fun. And Vince McMahon said, that's great. And so he brings him out for a few times, and here's the Iron Sheik. He's dressed up. He's got the towel on his head. He's waving the Iranian flag. And then he'd spit on the American flag and try to sit on it or spit on it again. It was a good show, because the entire audience would get invested and just start boo, boo. And then
they'd want to see him get his ass kicked.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. You got another up and comer that wants to be the king heel too. Mm-hmm. And but about this time, Vince McMahon needs a hero for the WWF. And he gets this guy that used to play bass guitar, and his last name's Hogan, first name Terry, I believe. And he's like, we're going to call you Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan and him wrestled for I believe the first WrestleMania. That was the first big televised match. and everybody got to see finally the Iron Sheik get his ass beat, and it was glorious. I remember it because my grandmother taped it. My grandmother borrowed a VCR. My grandfather had to figure it out, but my grandma wanted to watch this all the time because she
Yeah, my
loved.
grandpa is the reason why I liked it, because I watched wrestling with my grandpa.
So anyway, he was a elder era or first generation WWF hero like Bruno Sammartino, and he's the guy that like made Hulk Hogan
Hmm.
because he allowed Hulk Hogan to become the king. And for a very long time, Hulk Hogan was the guy for WWF, and he was just, I mean, the guy for WWF. And then not long after he got thrown down, Randy Macho Man Savage came out. Ooh, yeah. I mean, I love that guy. I just watched his biography this weekend. I had split up in 3 different parts. It's like a 90-minute episode. But if
Hmm.
you like Randy Macho Man Savage, I'll put it in the general. You can watch this biography. Everybody that gets on this biography show talking about Macho Man does a really good Macho Man Savage. And it's hilarious. And they talk to Lanny Poffo, which is Randy's brother, Leaping Lanny Poffo, later the Genius. They talked to a few other people, and this was out in 2020. So there's some faces that are on there that have died since then, like Lanny died in February this year. But the Iron Sheik passed last week, and I've been on like a early 80s WWF era wrestling binge. And tonight I plan on watching Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Macho Man, which was the best fight of WrestleMania 3. Fight me. Anyway, yeah. And Six Nations says, yeah, he was a Cold War era Iranian baddie for WWF. He was epic. Say what you will about the theatrics, but these guys, they were really good at portraying their character. And then you had another guy that was kind of like a friendly lump, I guess you call him, George the Animal Steel. And he was a very well educated high school teacher. But he had this idea where he would come out and he would bite the turnbuckle and rip open the stuffing on the inside. And it was fantastic. And he died a few years ago.
Kind of gross.
He would do something, he would eat something and get a green tongue. And whenever he came out, he had like his shirt off and his belly was out, and he had his silverback on his hair, on his back. I mean, he was just creepy, just amazing. The best shit to watch was early 80s wrestling, because if you want to do real good theatrics, you watch those guys. And if you're a DM, if you play D&D, you really can't go wrong with doing riffs of old WWF wrestling stars whenever the bad guys come out. That's just what you do. Six Nation says, if you like Michael Jackson, Santana Jackson's funny and talented wrestler. She's dancer. Off topic of the film, but what else is new? And he had a green tongue too. Yeah, I love that era. That was like my favorite era up until WrestleMania 6. Janet, am I breaking up?
A little bit for me, but I don't know if it's me or not.
Oh, you got really fuzzy. You got super pixelated.
Yeah,
Like
maybe I'm having problems with my internet.
that might be the case.
Oh, so
There we
sorry.
go. There she's back in 480. Almost. This might be a good point to break the video. Might be. WrestleMania 6 was the last one that Legion of Myth watched too. There was some good stuff that happened in wrestling after that, but I just didn't care. I watch this stuff now because I want to know what happened, and I was curious about what happened with Ms. Elizabeth, and now I know. And I was really sad to hear about her death when it happened. But what broke me was Randy Macho Man Savage dying behind the Jeep with his high school sweetheart with him, and she had to grab the wheel and not hit a bus, and they got to wreck up against a tree. the airbags did not deploy. They weren't
You're
going
talking
that
about
fast.
a real accident, or is this a
Yeah,
movie?
that was a real accident.
Oh,
Randy
it
Macho
sounds
Man
awful.
Savage. After his wife Elizabeth Hullett died, she was with Lex Luger at the time. That she just was doing pills and vodka. That's bad. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Really, don't do that. Vodka and bad. Vodka and pills bad. Thank you. Once you understand that, she dies that way, and then he mourns for a little bit, and he kind of meets a stripper for a while that was getting like hit on by, literally hit with a cane by Evil Knievel, because they're all down in Tampa. That's like white trash heaven. If you want to live cheaply in a
The
lovely area,
real Evel Knievel, the
yes,
bike rider,
yes,
motorcycler guy. I mean, that sounds very
right, right before he
crazy.
had his Promise Keepers video,
Mhm.
he was at a fucking Tampa Bay place called uh, the Palace or the Orchid or whatever it was, and Stephanie Baller, who later became something on stage with Randy Macho Man. She was there for about a year,
Mhm.
and she was the new thing that he used to make himself younger. That was his muse for a while, but after she left him, he just faded out of wrestling, just failed it, just done.
Mhm.
And like not many other wrestlers do that, because he did all the fights he wanted. He had all the time he had like he was part of WCW. He was a big deal. He took fucking Slim Jims to WCW. Do you understand? That's like a $760,000 a year contract for WCW. They didn't pay him a dime. They just let him generate money. He was the gold coin that kept producing more in the vault, up until the point when like his little girl Stephanie Ballers left him. He just kind of like took a big breath and was like, I think I'm done.
Well, how did he pay his bills and stuff if they didn't give him any money?
Janet, let me tell you about Randy Macho Man Savage. His father, Angelo Poffo,
Mhm.
told him one thing. There's only one thing that matters in life: save your fucking money. And so whenever they had any endeavor, they parked the bus, and a lot of guys would go out and get drunk. Well, Poffo might go and grab some blow or some refreshment, but everything else went into the stash. He never bought for others. He never
Mhm.
bought around. Nobody remembers him buying around for anybody. The only thing he ever did was like he bought Stephanie Baller's little boy some wrestling characters, some toys. He bought the kid whatever he wanted, but like the guy was oozing funds at the time because like he was in WCW and that he was making real money, and he was living a life that nobody should ever live because you're high on stuff at the time, you're jacked, and this is towards the end.
Probably high on steroids.
He had lots of steroids in him. He also did a lot of the booger sugar. He did so many problematic things that like it was just one after another. But his little stripper friend Stephanie Ballers left him. She went back to Rockford, Illinois, took a little boy, and he just fades out of the WWF. Like he let himself stop dyeing his hair. He stopped going to the gym 40 times a day. I think he even got off a lot of the steroids.
So he died of a broken heart.
Nope, he did not.
Oh.
He meets up with this girl he was with while he was doing amateur baseball. AAA baseball was where his initial dreams were, and his dad had bought him all sorts of equipment, built him a batting cage on the side of the house, did all this stuff for him, and he went to 3 different clubs. And he taught himself how to throw left-handed in case his right hand ever fucked up. And eventually he did blow out his right shoulder, so he starts throwing left hand. And people got really upset. He went to Milwaukee, no, Chicago White Sox, and a couple other places. And he did that for like 3 years. And when they said, we really don't like the way that we're seeing you perform because you should be throwing with your right, but you're throwing with your left. And he was like, I'm done with you. And he went out and he broke all of his ball bats. He's like, I'm done. I never want to deal with you ever again. And he tells his dad, bring me in the business. And so that's what happened. But up to that point, he had this high school sweetheart that never saw him in wrestling ever. She never even recognized him. He had completely had a life away from her. And when he meets up with this lady again, uh, they just fell in love, and he let himself go gray, and he didn't like worry about the steroids, and he didn't worry about the cocaine, and he just started living. He had ignored this. He was in his like late 50s, and he meets the love of his life, this lady that's not going to cause him a problem. And
Yeah.
one day in 2000, I think 10, they'd gone out for breakfast, and he's like, oh, I'm not really feeling too well. She's like, well, let me drive. He's like, no, I got this. I got this. And then behind the wheel of his Jeep, he has a heart attack, and she grabs the wheel and doesn't let it run into a bus. They run into a tree, and they pronounced him dead, I believe, at the scene. But he died pretty much right there because, like, all the shit he'd done to himself. And it's a sad story, but, like, there's not a better story for wrestling than Randy Macho Man Savage. He was the greatest wrestler, in my opinion, to ever live. I mean, he played the
Did
baby
they
face.
both die in the car accident?
She lived. She's still alive. She's in this biography that I just watched over the weekend. I absolutely loved it, but I cried watching this because, like, I was watching my childhood evolve, and then I saw they showed the WrestleMania 3 clips, and they said, we got to have this match between Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Macho Man. That's got to be the match of the day. No matter what, you got Hulk and Andre going at it, but Andre's broken and he's about to die. Literally, that's the case. Like, Hulk Hogan scripted that entire fight to where Andre the Giant didn't have to lift his legs too high. He didn't have to do too much. Bobby the Brain Heenan gets him out there on a mobile, like a Joe lift. So whenever they're going out to the ring and coming back, Bobby the Brain can elevate it at the ring height. So the Andre the Giant doesn't have to like do too much to his body. He's about to die. The acromegaly, or whatever the horrible disease he's got that will not let him stop growing, has hurt him so much that he's basically walking around like James Coburn and Payback, not able to move and shit. But he does a few moves in that match against Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan beats him. And then about 6 months later, he died, which was just a heartbreak because we had watched him as a kingmaker, as a hero for so many years. And but the best show of that match was the Dragon versus Randy Macho Man. Hey, Travis J. 1975. Randy Macho Man and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat had a 160 move list they memorized and then threw on the show for us. And if you ever watch it, it's just a counter reversal, counter reversal, counter reversal.
Mm-hmm.
And good. It's like watching two trained gymnasts just go through their routine. And when you realize that's what it is, I got a whole new level of respect for him watching that. And I'm probably going to send that video to my dad because I need him.
Because if you think about it, if they really wrestled, how many people would be able to have a very long career?
Oh God, no. Like,
yeah. Hitting each other with chairs and all that stuff. I mean, 2 fights and some of them would be out. They'd never fight again. So that kind of makes sense that it was fake. Because Grandpa always told me that it was real. And then he would, Sandy and I, he'd come in and he'd tie our hands together, our wrists, and then he would tie our wrists to our feet, and he'd hang us over the doorknob, stuff like that. I remember my grandpa doing that. Because remember, I told you he was big into horses, so he could rope cows and stuff, and he'd tie us up like a calf or something and hang us on a doorknob if we were bad. And then he would grab our big toes and he'd take his Prince Albert can and he'd pound on our toe, make us cry, stuff like that. So I mean, he was a lot of fun, and he didn't have a lot of money or anything, but we always had fun. He was always very hands-on with us, so I was pretty lucky to have all that.
Here is
beat us up a lot.
This is a goal for people with kids.
Oh,
Travis J. 1975. Congratulations, man. He says, finally married off daughter number 1 on Friday. Just chilling at the beach property. Whoop, whoop. Oh, yeah,
so
sir.
Next year you'll have yourself a grandbaby. You can
Next
share
year,
it with all of us.
9 months and 30 minutes later.
Well, it's not 30 minutes. I mean, heck, some people take a day or two to have a baby. Doesn't just fall out.
So, Janet, we
Mhm.
are kind of
Sorry
loaded
with
up.
my
Have
glut.
you noted? Have you looked at the stream schedule that we have set up?
No, I keep saying I'm gonna look, but I keep forgetting.
Okay.
So
Well,
what's next time? Another gamers?
I don't know yet. Let me open this up for you. We are currently live on this one here. Now that's
Mhm.
excuse me. Next week. Next week. Oh my God. Ooh, ooh. The gamers. Darkness Rising. Ah.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Tell your friends. We're gonna finally show Janet on Sunday night what she's been missing, and she's gonna probably see herself with Joanna's character in this movie. But
She's gonna be joining their game.
yeah, this is a movie about the same guys from the Gamers Part One we watched last week,
Mhm.
and
But they all died.
well, this is in the same millennium, and through the magic of story making, you'll see what happens. But this is a fantastic movie. This is still the high watermark for me for everything that Dead Gentlemen have done. And this is a movie that I'm eagerly anticipating next week with. I'm not trying to besmirch this movie. I'm going to tell you that this movie here probably earns as it's not quite a 7. This is not a 70. This for me is a 69. This is a good movie. It's watchable. If you guys want to take 69 dirty, go ahead. This is a movie that you can watch with your family. You can watch it by yourself. You can enjoy yourself watching this film. It's got Tatum O'Neal, Dennis Quaid. Both of them do really good singing in it. But this movie could be filmed off base at the
Are
trailer
you talking
park.
about this movie? It was Chris McNichol.
Chris McNichol, my bad.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about a different movie when you
No,
were
no, no,
saying
no.
Tatum O'Neal. I was like, I don't know what movie he's talking about.
No, my bad. But this movie with Christy McNichol and Dennis Quaid, I really did like it. My final score is 69.
Mhm.
It's just good enough to recommend to other people. And
Mhm.
like if it's on TV, I probably will watch it. I don't know what
Well,
your rating is.
I give it an 8, a solid 8, because of there was a few little things that I thought were a little cheap, when it with the movie, but I thought all the characters were really strong except for the love interest for Dennis Quaid. I thought her character was kind of flat and boring. Why he would want to give up a career and everything for this woman, it just didn't, really seem real. But the romance between Conrad's character, Mark Hamill, and Christy McNichol were very believable to me as a young woman, thinking about it as a young girl like her. And how she would be whisked off her feet by him, and how he fell in love with someone that was so adorable and sweet and kind and told the truth and was honest, someone he thought he could build a life with, I think.
I
So I
I
really
really
liked
liked
it.
the movie where she ruins Dennis Quaid's chances with those two girls. She's like, "Hey, maybe they can help you find a doctor so we can clear up that infection." They just
Just
fucking
like something a little sister would do, I think,
yeah.
to a brother. So I just thought it was an adorable movie, very heartwarming, young romance. It was more of a drama musical than it was any kind of action type thing. But the guy that played the bartender, or the owner, Andy, that played Andy, he did a very good, believable character, heartwarming kind of man, that seemed like, it's just a single guy that runs a bar, and he tries to be as fair as he can to his customers and stuff. It did remind me a lot of small country towns that half my relatives live in. So that was I liked it. I really enjoyed all of that. If I could see this as an updated movie, not new movie, but taking this movie and boosting it. You know how they're doing these other movies and making them more clear and updated or whatever. I don't know
Redo
what
the
you call
sound
that.
on it. If they
Yeah,
could
I
redo the
think
sound, I'd be
if
happy.
they can retune it or whatever and make it the sound better and the picture clearer and things like that, because it was made so long ago, but I still thought it was really, really good. I mean, to me, the movie that you showed me where the ship, the air track air what do you call it, big ship, battleship or whatever, got sucked into that vortex or whatever.
Talking about the final countdown.
Yeah, the final countdown. It seemed like it was it's the picture quality was about the same. So you know
Yes.
what I mean? If you could bring that quality up and whatever that's called, I
Oh
think
my
this
God.
would
Could
be
you imagine a 4K restoration on that dimple on Kirk Douglas? Ah,
well, any of those movies. I think that's something that Hollywood's missing out on because there's so much beautiful, wonderful movies that lots of young people would want to watch if you had a channel that had these movies that were all refurbished or whatever, like they did with the Wizard of Oz and stuff. A whole new generations of people could watch them.
I'd go for it.
Like them.
I'm game. I'd be completely happy with that.
I'd pay for that, a monthly subscription, to be able to do that. I mean, to me, it'd be worth it because it movies you can watch over and over again and share with other people. But I love this movie. I thought it made me, I don't know, it just made me reminisce of being young, again in high school, and my first kiss, that type of stuff. It made me think about all those things, and I'm really nostalgic, anyways. So I don't know. I just really, really enjoyed it. It opened my heart again. It kind of softened me a little to maybe being open for young romance. Because any new romance is young, so you're gonna feel that little pitter patter and that little I don't know, and get that little excitement of butterflies or whatever, that type of stuff. I would. That's just something that you just can't. You can't package that. You know what I mean? It's something that just comes when you're in love
Double
again.
entendres. My bad.
Do what?
The double entendres. It's like Janet talking about packages and everything comes and it's just
Well, I mean, I just think that it just made me. I'm glad I watched it again. It was so romantic, and it just I know I'm going to dream about it for at least a couple more days. I think about the romance and stuff that was in it. I don't know. I just liked it. I definitely give it an 8, a solid 8, and I do recommend it to other people.
while you were gone, I said this movie feels like a continuation of Dennis Quaid's character that we get to see in Breaking Away.
Hmm.
And we're going to watch that later this year in the fall because that movie is a very good independent movie that did not get a lot of love, but when it came out, it hit like a ton of bricks to the point where they even made a TV series up based on it. That's how you knew your movie was a success when ABC executives came knocking at your door like, "Hey, we want to borrow your IP. We want to do this." And it's that's what happened with Breaking Away. And I don't know what happened with it. I think probably the same thing that happened with the Animal House TV series,
Hmm.
but I don't want to have any spoilers here. But that's Breaking Away's character for Dennis Quaid reminded me a lot of this. Maybe because he didn't have to have a lot of variance with that character, but that is both movies are really good, and I'm hoping that you guys. Yeah, Six Nations says Janet just gave us a soundbite gold mine at 2 hours and 12 minutes. That's where that starts up. Somebody wants to clip that and put that in the
What was it I gave about
every,
packages?
everything, and also if you missed earlier, Janet did a Meg Ryan-esque orgasm faked at a table, and
Yeah, I was like, she's sitting there eating lunch, and she's like going, uh, uh, yeah. And then the lady at the other table says, "Oh, I'll have what she's having." So that was
you would get it
that was my
quicker.
best part of the whole movie. You know what I mean? I thought it was adorable. I thought Meg Ryan did a great job in that part.
That's like my number 3 movie she did. I still think that her character is the unnamed wife of Goose in Top Gun is her best
Well,
character
yeah,
she's
she
ever
did
done.
good at that too. She was good at that. But I thought she was really pretty for a blonde. You know, 'cause it seemed like everybody was blonde, but she was a natural blonde at least. You know,
She had that little pixie cut or that little bob she had, and
Mhm.
that's
I
that's
thought she
like
was
the
really
best.
cute.
That's the best it ever got for her. And I just what I hate is the fact that her agent did not let her branch out. She's still on the classic Lifetime movie network. Are you a sad woman with nobody to love and 3 cats in your house? Here's a
Well,
Meg Ryan film festival for you.
I can honestly say that I think she was a way better actress than Melanie Griffith.
I never recognized Melanie Griffith, and I never recognized Melanie Griffith movies as entertainment. Those are
She
something
was
that
so
those are work. If you make me watch a Melanie Griffith movie, I'm going to ask you for payment owed
now. See,
because that
she got movies because she was pretty. You know, she was just a bimbo, and she got lots of movies because of it. So, but at least Meg Ryan could act. You know, she actually could act. It's just that she didn't have very many, you know, mixture of good roles. I mean, she just had a bad agent, from what I could tell.
yeah, and she was married to Dennis Quaid for many years, or
Mhm.
at least a partner, and then like that just fell through. I don't know what happened, but I'm sure Dennis Quaid and I couldn't sit at a table and talk because of politics. I'm pretty certain of that, but I appreciate his body of work because he did so many varied movies. He did Dreamscape, he had Inner Space, he had Breaking Away, he had this, he had Enemy Mine. He what? Yeah, he had
Pandorum,
Pandorum.
Enemy Way.
I fucking love Pandorum, and that's probably a movie I could watch a lot more. But that's he's got a good body of work that's variable, and he was in one of my favorite movies of all time to watch with my parents, and that's where I have to classify that. But Frequency with Jim Caviezel,
Yeah.
um, that's such a good film. But
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about this new movie that's out with Patrick Flannery in it,
haven't heard about it.
Nefarious or something. It's a
What?
it's a new movie. It's out right now, and you can rent it now on TV too, I think. But a Wednesday night, one of my friends is going to try to play it on her podcast, so everybody can watch it for free. So, but I want to like it because I like Patrick. Isn't his name Patrick Flannery or something
I
like
believe
that?
that's Sean
He was
Patrick
in the
Flannery.
Boondock Saints.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Classic movie.
I used to email him. We used to email back and forth all the time.
I'm just trying to imagine the children that could come out of that union. Sean Patrick Flannery and
Well,
Janet.
I never did really, get to have personal time with him, but we met one time and we just talked through emails, mostly about life and things that,
Okay,
wisdom, things like that.
fair enough. I don't know.
He's a nice guy though. That's why I was so shocked when I saw him in The Boys and he got his ass kicked. You remember that scene?
I remember that. Was that first season? No, it's first season,
No,
wasn't it?
I think it was the second season.
I know I saw it, but I don't remember seeing the whole episode. I I don't watch The Boys because it's on Amazon, and
Mhm.
Amazon has fucked up the Lord of the Rings and Wheel of Time. So I just kind of do my due diligence of shitting
Yeah,
on
I
every
got it.
character.
I got that just so I could watch The Boys. So,
Okay.
because I really liked it. The first season was excellent. The second season, so if it
That
doesn't
could
get
go
better, I
a
won't
lot of
keep
good
watching it.
directions with that show, and they fucked up a lot.
Yeah.
But you know what? At least The Boys isn't Stranger Things.
It's hard to believe that they could take a show, a comic book basically, based off a comic book that hates superheroes, right? The guy that wrote it just didn't like superheroes and made them all assholes, basically. They could take that and make it more woke, when they make it an actual TV series. To me, that was just shocking, And the grossest, disgustingest person on there is the water guy. I can't remember what his name is right this second. and him making out with that octopus thing
Yeah.
creature, with cuttlefish or whatever. It was like, oh my God, that's the most disgusting thing. But it's still, I just still thought it was funny. And I thought that Jack Quaid was adorable in it. The whole situation with his girlfriend and having that one guy run right through her. Because all of it was very plausible. If there really were people with powers like that, what the world would be like. The mostly
Janet, you need to fasten the tape on your cantenna. Your signal's going bad.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, there you go. You're back now. You were
Okay.
getting very much like Speak and Spell Janet.
I'm sorry.
And
That's what I'm
from
hearing
my
right now from
store-
you. I'm hearing
What?
Speak and Spell from you. So it must be on my end. I mean, but I have what is that called again? Windows or whatever. It's my browser.
Yeah,
So maybe it's that. Maybe
Are you
that's.
using Windows Edge?
Mm-hmm.
I'll need to show you this thing called Brave.
Y'all have to do something different because this has happened a couple times.
Brave, there's like very few things that don't work with Brave, but Brave is much better.
Yeah, the Deep. That's his name. Oh my God. Deep. That guy. That actor, though, is perfect for that character. He's a total asshole. Stuck up snob.
Janet, 6 Nations, 31 Kings. Back to Meg Ryan real quick. Meg Ryan before the plastic. It was sad to see her go under the knife, and she didn't need to do that. Do you agree?
Oh, you talking about Meg Ryan?
Yeah, Meg Ryan, and she looks like the Tiger Lady out of New York.
Yeah, the thing is that now I won't do it, not because I probably wouldn't want to do it. And I mean, I wouldn't want to get new cheeks and all that stuff. But I mean, who wouldn't want to have like your spider veins fixed on your legs? But you have to eat right, you have to exercise, have to have all the other stuff in place, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter how much surgery you do, you can't fill in like putting fake biceps in and fake ass cheeks and stuff like that and expect it to look good, because your skin isn't going to look good. If you don't exercise and drink plenty of water and stuff, your skin's going to be all like hangy and everything anyways. So it's when you quit working out, just like that about, what was it, Hulk Hogan, when they stop pumping iron and start working out and they start laying down because they're older, that your skin starts to sag. I mean, that's gravity. But the sad thing is that so many women, you see them like these news ladies. Okay, I'll use a couple of them, like on Fox News. You got these really beautiful women in their 20s and early 30s. And then when they hit 40, you see them get replaced by a younger woman, even though she's still a very attractive woman. But you got the guys, and they can be 50s and 60s, and they got 20-year-old girls with them. So it's the industry that pushes the women to try to make them all look younger, instead of them being able to just be beautiful and grow old gracefully. They're not allowed to if they want to stay in the business and make any money, right?
Yeah, that's how that works.
That's the sad fact. So you have like, look at Demi Moore. She eats right. She takes care of herself, but she's had, her lips done, a few things like that, but small, subtle things just to age gracefully. And that's what I want to do. That's what I do.
Here, I'm going to make you big for a minute, and I'm going to stop my cam. I'll be right back.
But, I think it's sad that these women have to go through that stuff, but they do it because they think they have to. They don't have any choice. They feel like they're pushed into it because they're pushed out of the limelight. And that's Hollywood for you. But now, I don't think it's mostly the women that want to do it. I think that they feel like it's either step down or you don't have a job, or you get all the injections and scrapings and lasers and, all that stuff. But I wouldn't want to do it. I don't want to do, all the cheek implants and stuff. I don't know why they even think that that's pretty. Willing to do that and mutilate people, make them look like, a statue or something that should be in a freak show or whatever shouldn't be able to have that job. I don't think that they should be allowed to do that stuff. I think that's wrong. But, if more men were to say, go up and tell them, you look so beautiful. Thank you for not, spending all that money and making yourself like a cat woman or whatever. Maybe more women would say, I like the way I look. I feel good about myself. But when you don't feel good about yourself, men or women, you tend to do things to yourself that you shouldn't. So that's the thing. And it's a lot of work as you get older. I mean, I hurt my knee when I was 16 in a motorcycle accident. I broke the clutch up on my knee, and I didn't have a lot of money. And so I went to the doctor, and they gave me stuff for swelling and things like that. And they said I didn't break the bone, and I wrapped it, but I had to work. So I just cut my jeans up so I could keep the wrap on, and it still worked. And so I didn't really let my knee heal like it should have. And my knee still hurts. I mean, every time it rains or anything like that, my knee hurts. All through my life, my knee is hurt. And it would swell up if I did too much activity, and I'd have to wrap it, put ice on it and all that stuff, simply because I didn't take care of it like I should have when the doctor told me to. So, but working out, I work out every other day. And by doing that, it helps keep my knee from hurting, which is weird. But it's like they said, a body in motion tends to stay in motion. And when you stop working out and stop eating right and all that stuff, it just gets too hard to get back into it again. So the thing I tell people is to just get up, walk around your house, try to drink a glass of water more a day, little things like that, and work yourself into it. Because once you do something for one full week, it starts to become a habit. And it gets easier for you to do it. Because I can tell when I go like on a trip and I have to drive a lot for 3 days, and then, you're like my neck. When I hurt my neck, I tried to do too much yard work in one day because I was trying to fill everything in as fast as I could before it was going to rain, and then I'd had to work a couple days. And then I pulled a muscle on my neck, and it hurt. It still hurts, and now it's in my shoulder. But we got to do what we can when we can do it. And try to just stay active. That's the most important thing, I think. It's just don't sit in your chair and watch TV all day. Get some hobbies. Go fishing. Go hiking. Go ride a bike. Walk. Take your dogs for walks. Or rake your yard. Make a garden. Do something to keep yourself active. And I think that'll help you out a lot. That's what I do. That's why I got my chicks. I mean, I know it sounds stupid, but I enjoy holding them. I enjoy feeding them, taking care of them. And, but I feel like it's a sense of accomplishment, especially when I get a mama chicken that hatches her own babies out, or I collect my eggs and bring them in, and I get to crack eggs and make, egg salad sandwiches or breakfast for somebody with my fresh eggs that my chickens hatched out in the pretty colors that I've slowly worked through the last few years, raising different chickens so I'd have different colors. So, it's up to us. It's all in our hands. Well, if your health is enough to where you can do it. But whatever your health allows you to do, you should try to work around that the best you can and try to stay as healthy as you can. Because I think you look better when you have a healthy glow about yourself, because you're trying to eat better. Somebody will walk up to you and say, wow, you look good today, because you got sun the day before, or you got good night's rest, things like that. Okay, I think I talked everybody's heads off.
Okay. I mean, you've definitely grown our audience on Rumble. Even if YouTube says there's only 3 people watching, we got a few people over on Rumble watching us right now.
Oh,
and
good.
I appreciate you guys. My food has arrived. I know I can hear your stomach growling from over here.
Yeah, I got a couple of tacos in there. I need to go warm up.
I want to thank everybody for stopping by tonight. I didn't know how much of a crew we'd have with us. This movie that we talked about is not a big movie. This is not a movie that you watch.
It's not even big now. I mean, it wasn't even big when it came out, I don't think, because it was an indie movie.
Yeah.
So it didn't really get a big thing. But, just like Lars and the Real Girl, I really like these. And so far, all the indie movies that I have watched, all have been good. like this one, even though I know you didn't really care too much for Lars and the Real Girl, but from the perspective that how I saw it, I thought it was really, really well made, and it was a very good movie. And I wish we could get more of those made. You know, I think if we could get some more young independent writers in, and get some up and coming young directors and producers that want to get their foot in the door, I think we could start getting some really good talent and some very good entertainment if we could just figure
I
out a way to
could
do that.
I could be okay with more movies that are of that quality. I just didn't like the subject of Lars and the Real Girl because they're of aforementioned mentioned reasons, and
Yeah.
it
Well, I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. But
yeah.
the versatility of it, because, I love movie festivals where you get to go and you get to watch shorts. You buy a ticket for the weekend, and then they do a little thing at the end for the writers and for acting and different things like that, depending on it. But there's like you'll see the Sundance Film Festival or whatever, and sometimes a big hit comes out of it. But the thing is, you get to see so much versatility from so many different people because it's people doing these, like your gamers one. Okay. That's why I asked you if it had been in a festival, because it's most of the movies in these they don't have big budgets. They're made on a very, very small budget. And that gets the people like us that get to watch these, get to see the work that it went to. They went through to just to get to make this movie, because it was something that they really wanted to see come to life. And you still have to have all the same things in a homemade movie that you would in a blockbuster. It's just tiny amounts of money involved. So you have to, find ways around things, like with costumes and sets, and, the actors aren't getting paid, and crafty. They're probably eating, apples off their mom's tree, or whatever. But the thing is that's where the ingenuity comes from, and the fire is lit into these young kids that say, that's all we want to do is make movies. I listened to one of the Baldwin brothers in a space on Twitter, and he went on and on and on about how him and his brothers made, who is that?
This is Angelo Pizzo. This guy wrote the movie Rudy, and then he wrote one of the greatest basketball movies of all time, Hoosiers, with Gene Hackman.
Okay. See,
I met this guy 4 years ago in Austin, Texas, and he was riding around with another screenwriter, but she was primarily just breaking in, and she's like an older lady. She was like 55, but she had done Broadway, and she was writing for things. But I get to meet this guy and this lady jump in my Civic, and I'm driving around town, and I'm just letting him talk. He's an amazing talker, and he's just fun to listen to. And I had a blast. But I was doing Uber for South by Southwest.
Yeah.
And because it's only 90 minutes away, I thought, well, there's no better time to go. And who knows who I'll meet? Well, the next night I went there, I met fucking Gordon Ramsay. Gordon fucking Ramsay! And that guy he uses profanity like Richard Pryor uses profanity. It's beautiful.
That's great. But, to me, that's why I like indie movies, because it's a way for young people that are just wanting to get in the biz to get their feet wet. And you never know, it might be great talent, just don't know unless you get to see it or have it put on paper. Because you have a lot of actors today that are producers and stuff. They find, some young people that have written some scripts, and you get like 5 or 6 different scripts, and you pay them, a few bucks, whatever, to get the script from them, is buy it outright. And then they take the scripts and mix them together and make one movie. So the young writer gets the happiness of getting paid for something they wrote, but they don't get the acknowledgement for it. See, that's the one thing that all young writers want, to see their name as big on screen as the director's name for writing that script. That is like, I can't even imagine what that would be like,
Yeah.
But thank you for letting me talk, everybody. It's not about a movie I really liked, and I've been wanting to watch it for a while, but finally the opportunity arose, and
this is a nice movie to watch. And if you want to know what Mark Hamill was like before, like 50 bazillion autographs ruined him for life,
yeah,
this is probably a good movie to see. I'm not a super Mark Hamill fan, but he acted in this movie, which is more than what I can say he did in Star Wars and Return of the Jedi. Although I will say that what?
But look how many actors were in this movie.
Oh yeah,
that were good. Every actor that was in any prominent position was a good actor.
The saddest part about this movie is Sonny Johnson, because she played the love interest, the selfish bitch.
Yeah.
And then a couple years later, she had like a brain aneurysm and just dead, gone. And she was smoking hot.
Yeah, she was very tragic.
Yeah, very tragic end to a very promising young lady. And this movie here, I don't know if this is her best movie, but there are some scenes where she's happy. So I really hope that the people that knew her in life, her family, and the ones that loved her, I really hope that they had closure. You know, when they go back and they see this movie, they're like, you know, this is a good movie to watch. That's what I'm gonna say. I'll end this movie with, if you want to see a great indie film, this is probably gonna fit your bill if you like small town America.
Yeah, and country western music.
Country and western.
Yeah, country and western. That's right. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. It was fun.
Yeah, definitely was a lot of fun. We will be back here next week. Do not forget, I will be throwing some shorts out throughout the week, or at least some community posts. And I want you guys to be aware that Janet is going to have the opportunity to see the Gamers 2 Darkness Rising.
Yeah, and you guys can watch it with us, right? They can come and watch it.
Discord. It's not going to be like this last week where Bruce searches over 4 different search engines for over an hour. And I'm sure it's on a hard drive server somewhere. But the ones I was finding were all from Russia. And there's a young gal trying to ask me for I need your social security number. And I'm not giving you my social security number.
That's horrible.
I know it is. At least I don't sing. I could, as I click on Legion of Max. Legion of Max, I've got a song for you on Friday. So we'll see you then, sir. Everybody in the chat, everyone out there, my friends on Rumble, for those of you that showed up and enjoyed what we had to say, appreciate you being here. We look forward to seeing you on our next broadcast.